Hello, 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 hello. Yo, 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 yo. Now I should be live. Let's go. Oh yeah. Thank you for the heads up. I appreciate you. Sometimes like the sound just decides to like poop the bed. All right. Thank you, thank you. How you doing, man? All right. So they just reported MSTR. Let's have a look. Microstrategy just had earnings, and the other one that I'm going to be paying attention to is Broadcom. So trying to get okay. So earnings per share was supposed to be 9 cents, and they lost. Ooh, wow. Oh man. Hello, hello, hello. I think there's a friend coming that knows a little bit better. Well, today should be a good day. Why is my P&L not out? It's a good day. Nvidia sitting at 125. It's a great day. All right, let's have a look. What's the name? It's just bam. Oh, Nvidia had a great day. I've had a great day so far. I can send you a Zoom link too. But look at something. So I know I have you. There we go. Like it, well, crypto's going down, right? Like it's very closely tied to crypto, so it's definitely gonna be important to pay attention to. But yeah, I'm not too worried, right? We have MicroStrategy, and I think they just missed earnings, which is not good. All right, MicroStrategy non-GAAP, is that, and they missed by $2 million. The thing is, just like they're not a like like their business like it's super interesting because they're like a Bitcoin company. As long as Bitcoin doesn't come down, they're not gonna get super punished. But their business is not producing what it should be doing, right? Tells you. All right, let me zoom. All right. I have the problem that I have with MicroStrategy is that you're really not getting a like what I like to think a great deal. It's like kind of a euphoria play. It's a way to access Bitcoin without having to access Bitcoin, but I think that the miners are just a better trade. And the miners could do the same thing. I think Mara's doing the same thing MicroStrategy is doing it, and they're actually getting a pretty good deal on it. Um, so yeah. All right, let's go. Da-da, da-da, da-da. The other big one is Qualcomm. All right, the Qualcomm results are out. All right, they're up a little bit, but nothing too crazy. I'm kind of surprised. They missed a lot. I'm super surprised. Tells you like gives you an idea. But yeah, I managed to. Sorry I was late. By the way. But yeah. Bam bam bam. No. What do I have to do? I have to vote? They have what are they asking for? No, I didn't set my votes for tomorrow. I didn't know I had to do something. All right. My snap trade went to the toilet. That sucks so bad. I'll check it out for sure. Let me actually. You know what? Let me put in my call here. Bam. And then. Yeah, that's cool. Hello, hello, hello. All right, that works. Share. Nope. Shh. Invite. Cast your vote for what? So I've got. Let's just do the catch up. Everything came out so fast today. I'll go. Stock's barely moving though. Huh. So they want to continue to dilute? Man, come on. For crying out loud. Huh. Yeah, I would think so. Like I don't want them to continue to dilute. Like focus now, you know? But I'm guessing what? They want to borrow money for what though? Hmm. That's super odd. I'll have to like dig a little bit deeper into that. Oh man, okay, I've got. And then the other one was ARM too. That's what we're expecting. ARM. All right, so ARM down 4.7%. What? And then we're going to MSTR. Man, they just continue to dilute. That's the reason the stock ain't going up, you know? I mean, if they want to buy and then we see a rally in Bitcoin, it would be ideal too. But if they're gonna buy more Bitcoin, but it just feels like it's too many times over and over and over. That's the problem with it too. That's also a risk. All right, Finviz. The thing is just like it's really not bad because they're borrowing money in order to get it done and all that stuff, so it should be good. But then you run into those issues. Okay. Oops. Ooh. You know what I mean? Like reward shareholders for holding for so long. That's for sure. Arms coming down. That's the thing. It's like so I was reading up on Avgo and they have ASIC. So they specialize on ASIC AI servers which help with very specific tasks. All right, so let's have a look. Avgo, we're looking for 86 cents and we've got they haven't reported yet. Okay. Am I tripping? Earnings up. So MSTR as reported, they missed. Like this is such a massive miss though, too. But it's weird because like the way that you have to report Bitcoin earnings, so that's why it'd be interesting to listen to their call. Their call is at 9. So it's in wait, what? So confused with MicroStrategy. Qualcomm is at 445. 341 and their expected was Q1 2025. Why is this different? 14 billion. It's not Avco, it's freaking Qualcomm. God damn it. All right, that's why I was like, okay, that's why I was tripping. Okay. Oh, okay. They haven't reported yet. Oh no, they did. Okay. So they're expecting 297. They got 341. So it's a beat on expectations. Stock aftermarket is flat. So odd. Come. Yeah, it's a little bit up. It was way up, but it just gave it all back. All right, okay. Doo doo. Oh man. Okay. So we have Qualcomm. Qualcomm is actually doing good, but Nvidia's doing better. And then when does Broadcom have freaking? I mean, that's why I was like so weirded out by it too. I have so many tickers here. I need to clean my. Still up on the day, but their earnings are March. They are after Nvidia. Okay, so that's not a big deal. So today was not a big deal at all. Okay. All right. I got confused. I get confused between those two stocks. Kind of sucks. All right. So we're gonna listen to MicroStrategy earnings, right? Investor relations. So it starts in an hour. Okay. Cool. In 37 minutes. Okay. So 9. Okay. So I guess we're gonna pay attention to MicroStrategy in this case. So I want to understand a little bit more. Okay. Cool. 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 Arm. Oh man. So earnings per share beats by a tiny fraction, and revenue beats, and stock's down 4%. Actually, more like 10%. Why are they so down? Arm. Relation. All right. So we're looking at Q4. Nope. We're looking at Q5, Q3. Yeah, there we go. All right. Ooh. AI growth from the edge of the cloud is creating demand for more energy efficient compute. All right. Financial overview. 983 million, which isn't 183 million, so they beat revenue estimates. Correct. Ah, crap. Cool. Current guidance. So revenue is gonna be for 2025. Whoa. Okay, so they're increasing quite a substantial. Okay, so they're still growing. I'm surprised by their behavior. The annual guidance, maybe the annual guidance is where they're getting lit because it's coming at It's a tighter range, but it's still within. So odd. Is it because they're not continuing to increase? Man, look up. Every single time. And then Qualcomm, which are doing okay. I even wrote it right on the description. Yeah. For some reason, it's like I keep looking at Qualcomm and thinking. Yeah, I barely made it on time. Like I've just arrived from another city, you know? So, yeah. But it's okay. I mean, like I set it today on the red, and every single day this week is pretty much been on the red, and then the market heals after. We are getting a little bit more calm. As soon as I got here, I saw that Trump was speaking.
He goes up high for the sign. I got crusty. Executive order. This is a nice crowd, isn't it, huh? You've been waiting a long time for this. Yeah. So have I. Actually, it was so ridiculous. But here we are. And this doesn't have to be long. It's just all about common sense. Doesn't have to be long. In a few moments, I'll sign a historic executive order to ban men from competing in women's sports. It's about time. Under the Trump administration, we will defend the proud tradition of female athletes, and we will not allow men to beat up, injure, and cheat our women and our girls. From now on, women's sports will be
Quantum
only
computer?
for women.
I think we're very far away from it yet. You know, but anything can happen.
But
anything can
before
happen.
going further, I want to share some very exciting news from our military. After years of shrinking force numbers at levels that nobody has ever seen before, 4 years of this we went through, and
I mean, like, you have to be in by the time there is like a breakthrough, and whenever there is news on it, you're gonna get a bump. But it's hard to say. Like, I'm not paying attention to any of them right now. I would say that. But yeah, something like you could make money in and out really quickly. But yeah, you're gonna get extreme volatility in those stocks. Extreme volatility.
recruiting targets
Like if you think chips are crazy, quantum is gonna be even crazier. You know.
every single month.
So that's something that we gotta pay close attention to. Where do I have the freaking? So yeah, we're waiting on the MicroStrategy. That one was here. What did I do with it? Didn't I register already? Oh, it's with some. Oh, it's on Zoom. Wow. better. I would say so. I would say so. I have a friend that's coming, hopefully, and he's gonna help me talk about to kind of understand what we're looking for here. Aló, aló.
Aló.
¿Qué fue, muchacho? How are you doing?
Scotch. Este
Scotch
es
and
Scotch.
Scotch and stocks, baby. All right. How you doing?
La vaina, ¿no?
Todo bien, todo bien. ¿Y tú qué tal? How's life treating you?
Pretty good, not bad one. Not bad.
Nice.
Complain. If
Nice.
I could. I'm going to.
We can always complain. It can always be better and it can always be worse, you know?
Yeah.
Oh man. Are you
I think they're
invest
gonna get crushed.
Huh?
I think they're gonna get crushed by what's going on MSTR.
MSTR, they missed earnings, eh?
Pero the stock is up after hours. I mean, barely.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I'm keeping a close eye on them. MSTR.
Yeah. Did you already look up like their release?
Yeah. So I'll catch you up. I'll catch you up. So they had their expected earnings were supposed to, so their expected earnings were supposed to be like a loss of 9 cents, and revenue was supposed to come in at $1.22 million, like 122 million. Their results were kind of shocking, in all honesty. They missed by like $3, and
Yeah,
then
so
they missed by $2 million of revenue, 120 million, 20 million. But the thing is, just like it's interesting because I don't think that because they haven't sold their Bitcoin, they're not able to capitalize those gains in the earnings, which is the same issue that the miners run into.
well, it depends because there's that issue on the accounting rules, right?
Yeah,
With the alternative tax.
yeah,
So I think those went into effect this year. So I don't know how they're
they're losing.
they're because Tesla and Tesla earnings, they did capitalize it, or they did take into account those earnings from the or depreciation of their Bitcoin as earnings.
Okay.
Or
Okay. So that's gonna be
I think it was like
interesting for sure.
100 million.
It's gonna be interesting to see what what he has to say. Like I thought Broadcom was having earnings today, but it turns out it was Qualcomm. So that one I'm not all like super interested in. It's more Broadcom that I want to know how they're gonna be handling the chip demand rise. So I'm paying attention. Like right now, I think paying attention to the MicroStrategy announcement is gonna be key. Key. I want to see what he says. You know, I really want to see what he says. Because yeah, it's a very big miss, and the stock to be flat on that, you know, is just crazy. What's the market cap of MicroStrategy? Let me just get that data in front of me. I can also
It's like 80
share.
billion. Something like that.
I'll share screen with you too. Yeah, you can do that. Bam. Right. So MicroStrategy right now is sitting at what? 84 billion.
Yeah.
But it's super interesting too because it's 84 billion, but they produce like what was their revenue? Their sales is 500 million.
Yeah, I
Like
mean it's I mean it's not valued based on
yeah, of
their
course
seller company.
yeah, it's their Bitcoin holdings for sure. Yeah. Because it's interesting because well, I think like I was looking at Mara. I think Mara might be a trade, but I'm not too sure. Like they want to continue to dilute, it seems. But
So if you look at Mara, right, right now it's around what, $18?
yeah, 17. Yeah,
So it was around the same price when Bitcoin was like 60,000.
correct. Well, the
And
thing
they
is if
ran 30.
with with Mara, you got to look at market cap. You got to because the problem with looking because they've diluted so much, they've sold so much stock that they're actually like yeah, like they still are lower than expected because I think around November they were sitting at $8 billion and right now they're sitting at $6 billion worth of market cap. So I think like that's where potentially there is like a really good buying opportunity coming into this earnings because none of the capital appreciate like the Bitcoin appreciation has been incorporated into their earnings at all. Because I think they like just before Bitcoin rallied, they had to report earnings. So all of the growth is in this quarter, which is
When are
nuts.
their earnings?
I think their earnings are expected somewhere, I'll let you know. Their earnings are expected at the 12th of February, but it's still estimated. There's no confirmation on that. So it could be the 16th or it could be the 11th, the 12th. Yeah,
See, the thing with Mara and all these other ones is it could run up, right? The previous run up took them to around 30. You're looking at potentially a 2x run if it does the same thing it did before. But
I it
the
could.
flip side, you're taking crypto level risks to invest in a stock, right? That so it's not like it's lower risk. But when I
Yeah.
look, for example, things like even Bitcoin, right? Right now it's at 90, what, 97, 98,000. Right, you could still have another 10% and be at all time high, right? And I mean, to me, that's lower risk because I think based on all the technicals, the crypto bull market's still going and it's been through kind of like not even a correction phase, but like a sideways stabilization phase, which is needed after a huge
Yeah.
where we were.
Yeah, consolidation. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure.
But if you look at, for example, ETH, right now it's around 2,700, right? It kind of it capitulated this past week down all the way down to 2,100. Its
Yeah.
previous all-time high is what, I think 4,000 something. Right, so you're
Yeah.
talking at least a 2x if it hits its previous all-time high. ETH has always beat its previous all-time high. Right now, the sentiment on ETH is probably the worst I've ever seen since I've been involved in crypto. meaning that it's likely a really good opportunity. And I think it's going to catch a lot of people by surprise. And either late February, March, if it
Okay.
rallies like really, really fast.
Yeah. Like most of the people, like, and I think you've even told me this, but like most of the people have told me that ETH is the one that sort of dictates where the old coin season starts, sort of thing, where you get all those like euphoria phase or hysteria starts, right?
I do have to say, I think that's changed a little bit with Solana.
Yeah, well,
The,
Solana
the,
has
re-
led. Yeah.
the reason ETH historically was kind of like the one that dictated alt season is because the majority of meme coins or three other altcoins were on ETH. But now Sol is it's kind of that. Now I'm not saying that Sol is going to replace ETH, but I think the dominance of ETH from a altcoin perspective, it's gonna have to be shared a bit more with Solana, especially in this
Mm.
bull cycle and moving forward. Honestly,
That's one thing that I have to do a little bit of more research on too, is like the new projects that Ethereum has had, and like what is the thing that's sort of driving the Ethereum price? Because last time that like the euphoria was around the NFT craze, right? And how that
mm.
sort of you need, if you wanted to get into the NFT market, you had to go through Ethereum, and that drove the prices to other levels. In addition to just the crypto rally itself, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's be real. Like the majority of gains in crypto are due to hype, right? I
Yeah,
would say like 80% of it is hype, 20% is actual value that's being created by leveraging blockchain technology. But the majority of it, it's just pure hype. Uh, it's that mania phase. That's why you see all these dumb meme coins going to over $1 billion. Some of these meme coins have a larger market cap than some of the oldest companies that are still trading in the stock market, which is
yeah, it's pretty
crazy.
crazy. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Like the fact that Trump
I'm not
coin can
hating on it.
rally.
I still make money of it, but I'm just saying that that's
Yeah,
just a fact.
but the thing is do you think there are more winners than losers in this case?
I think most of it's gonna be a zero sum game.
Okay. Yeah, I just think it just gets transferred, right? Like there's no value being created,
Yeah,
you
for
know?
the most part.
Like there are definite projects that are trying to change, many different aspects. And for that I'm like I completely agree, but there is others, like for example, like I don't know, Fartcoin, right? Where it's just like I don't think there's a project behind it, you know what I mean? Other than just hold cold coin in the wallet. You know what I mean? Like
But it's something that everybody does. Every single person in the world, the
fun.
history of Earth, has fought it at least once in their life.
It's the truth. So it's like, it's the marketing trade, it's the marketing strategy, but it was
It's
interesting
something
because
that can bring us together.
yeah, that's fair. You know what I mean? That's fair, but also like cash can bring me together. You know what I mean? So it's like the question is just like what's gonna have more value long term? Whether it's this
Yeah,
like
there's what's this quote by Elon Musk? I think it says the most absurd scenario. That's probably the most likely a scenario to play out.
dang.
But I actually got into Farcoin not super early, but early enough that I made some good gains.
That's fair. Are you
I
still
mean,
in it?
yeah. I'm
Okay.
still I got wrecked this past week, but
Well, that's
I
the
think
thing.
I
It's
think it's
Fartcoin.
one of those that's gonna go on mainstream media when we get to that mania phase and just
So it's sitting
just to
at
show
5
how
cents.
absurd it is. Yeah,
Okay. Dang. Okay. So yeah, that's the thing. Wait, Fartcoin? Is that it? No, that can't be it. No, that's I'm
no,
looking
it
at the
should
wrong
be
fart. I'm looking at the wrong Fartcoin. Yeah. So I was looking at Fartcoin is what's like 100, like 10, like
yeah, it
100, I
should be
think it
top.
was. Yeah, Fartcoin here is sitting at 50 cents. Okay, yeah. I was gonna say 5 cents, like you got decimated, but no. Here it is, sitting at 53 cents. Still super
What,
high
like
though.
2 weeks ago, it was like at $2. Yeah,
Yeah. It was almost at $2. So that's so funny. That's so crazy. Actually, I might be able to stream the call for you.
yeah, too bad. You know, are we still in the call?
Yeah.
It's too bad that Farcoin they have to go to Solana, because gas fees on the ETH chain were too high.
Yeah. Well, that's also another thing that it's like, like I think to start, how much does it cost to start a crypto? It's like a couple of $1,000.
That was supposed to be a joke. That was a fart joke. Because gas
Oh,
fees are
loss.
too high.
Yes. Okay. I get you. I get you. I get you. I'm still low. This guy. Oh man.
Uh,
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, because I know we're gonna have an episode this weekend if you're still down. But
yeah.
are you like, so you're thinking potentially March, April is when we start seeing this rally to continue? Because so far there's been a lot of
So,
promise but no action. Yeah, like crypto or Bitcoin in itself.
so I mean, if we look at it from the cycles perspective, right? The 60-day cycle that Bitcoin follows. Um, it basically started uh, around election time. It went up to, it had that huge run up and then kind of crashed. Not crash really, but just came a little bit back down to earth at the beginning of the year. So that was kind of like the 60-day cycle low for Bitcoin. Then kind of had some fake outs to the upside, and then now to the downside, right? But for the most part, we've held in that 109,000 to 90,000 range, right?
Yeah.
For the past 40 days, that's been. So right now we're, yeah, around like day 40 of that 60-day cycle. And then usually you have a at the end of towards the end of the 60-day cycle, you have a capitulation where you have your 60-day cycle low. Um, and then it can be, anywhere from day 45 to day, 70, 75, depending on the cycles. So once that gets kind of consolidated, I think we're able to go back up. So that's on the daily set of things. Bitcoin also has these weekly cycles, and then they're usually, anywhere between 15 to 20 weeks. Um, and then this would also be the last weekly cycle, right, before a new one starts. Usually, towards the end of the weekly cycle, the last 60-day cycle within weekly cycle, those are relatively short because they have those capitulation events where you see a huge crash really quick and then a huge bounce, maybe consolidates for a few days and then keeps running up. And the reason for all that is because it just resets sentiment, right? People were really bullish about Bitcoin on election. It ran up in December, and then people were bullish on it for their inauguration. They thought, day one Trump was going to establish a Bitcoin reserve and all that. I never thought that was the case, and I actually thought there was going to be a sell the news event. That didn't really happen. There was a run up to the inauguration.
Election.
It
Yeah.
kind of stagnated after that. But it just kind of has to reset sentiment. And we've seen that already, at least maybe not with Bitcoin that much, but with alts, right? So if you
Yeah.
gauge the crypto cycle and where you're at by how much alts are pumping, that when they're not pumping, that's probably we're getting close to another run up in both Bitcoin, and then alts will follow, right? The market just has this nature of flushing out people that are over leveraged and then flushing out people on the other side, right? Just faking them out and then bringing them back down and margin calling them again.
Okay. Okay. So you think, so you because I know that you mentioned this a lot. So there is a cyclicality to Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think all markets have because at the end of the day, right? There's uh, there's a part of the market that has to do with like facts and data and what were your
Yeah.
earnings, and all that stuff. But there's a good chunk of that it's just based on sentiment, right?
Yeah.
You look at Toyota, right? I think they have a price to earning ratio of like one. They're arguably the best performing automobile company in the world,
Yeah.
but you don't see it rallying up. But you see Tesla rallying up. I mean, it's been down this past couple of days,
Yeah.
but overall, the past 6 months has been up. maybe like 2x, right? And then nothing has changed really, right? They're still doing what they're doing. If
Yeah.
anything, their sales have actually gone down.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, 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 yeah. Like they should have gotten
it's all about
punished less
sentiment.
earnings. But yeah, Elon goes
It's
in
all
and
about
promises, 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 and he just creates this sort of you like a little bit of like euphoria rally in a sense, and it's like it keeps the stock up. Okay, I get you.
yeah,
Because
and
that,
that and how companies are being priced out, right? So Tesla is being priced as a technology company, which I mean that's kind of up to debate, right?
yeah,
Whether it is a technology company or if it's more of an automobile company. Similarly to MicroStrategy, right? Because they argue that they would be valued as a technology company, and that's why their stock will have a premium over net asset value. And right now, what is like 1.5 on the value of Bitcoin? So you're paying 1.5 times the price of the Bitcoin to hold Bitcoin within your MicroStrategy stock,
okay. So you're paying it like
right?
you're paying you're not getting if you put in $1, you're not getting $1. You're paying $1 and a bit more.
Yeah, if you take into account your Bitcoin per share, yeah, it's lower
Okay.
than just going out and buying Bitcoin. But the sales pitch, right, that Saylor gives is we're gonna grow that, right? So while you may pay me now, like let's say you buy $97,000 worth of MicroStrategy stock, right? That would be one Bitcoin today. But then next year he does what he calls yield, Bitcoin yield. So that will give you, I don't know, like zero point 0.7 Bitcoin per share, or based on those total shares that you bought, 97,000 worth of shares that you MicroStrategy that you bought. The next year, that zero point 0.7 Bitcoin is going to be, zero point 0.8, and the next year is going to be 0.9, and after 3 years, it's just going to keep growing and growing and growing. So your Bitcoin per share grows up over time, and he does that by obviously leveraging both the bonds, um, convertible notes, and then also going to the market and basically selling MicroStrategy stock to turn around and buy more Bitcoin within. With it, short term, it hurts the stock price, right? Because you're just diluting it. But long term, his
Mm,
strategy is that you're gonna increase your Bitcoin per share, and with Bitcoin price going up, that's going to translate to higher stock price.
okay. So because the thing is I know like where you were because are you still in MicroStrategy right now or no?
I hold MicroStrategy only to do the options. So I sell covered call options,
Okay.
and because it's such a volatile strategy
What's
stock, it actually gives a lot of like return. So you're looking at you could easily make 3-4% a week selling covered calls,
oh
right? So
wow.
even if the stock goes down 50%,
Yeah, because they're implied
right,
volatile.
on the
Okay.
year, you're still getting that semi-passive income.
Okay. That's
So
interesting.
I
That's
keep
an
my
interesting
exposure.
strategy.
Yeah, so I keep my exposure, MicroStrategy, because ideally,
You don't
when
want to sell
Bitcoin runs up,
you don't want to sell naked calls. Okay, I get you. I get you.
once I feel that we're getting closer to the crypto peak, I would sell MicroStrategy because MicroStrategy is going to get destroyed,
Like
absolutely
in the
destroyed.
downside, like if we get a like the thing is one of the interesting things like you hear a lot of this from many people that are interested in like that are new to Bitcoin. And it's that, oh no, like look, did you see crypto today or Bitcoin? Like it had a 5% day. And like for me, 5% day in Bitcoin is normal. You know what I mean? Like like that's always been the case. Like 5% is actually a great day. You know what I mean? Like I've seen Bitcoin have moves or 20, 30, 40% in a day. You know, it's like so that's where a lot of people sort of like panic whenever they start getting into crypto. But what are your thoughts when if something like because right now we're talking about like I was just looking at the market cap of Bitcoin and we're talking about like it's a $2 trillion like almost $2 trillion market cap. You
Yeah,
know?
with Bitcoin, I mean, the way I think about it, it's again, I go back to these cycles, right? We have the 4-year cycle with a Bitcoin that it's kind of driven by the halving event, uh, and then usually what happens is you have 1 year of just harsh, just bear market, right? And you have another 2 years where you're kind of consolidating. You might go up, right? So last year in March, we kind of peaked at 70,000, then spent the next 10 months or 8 months basically going sideways. Yeah, we went down to like 50,000. It even dropped to like 40, high 40s, right? But then it kept going back up to 60, and then in some instances close to 70K, right? So it was within that range. That range, right? That was just consolidation. So for somebody looking at it, it's like, oh, Bitcoin crashed from 70,000 to 40,000 or 48,000, 50,000, whatever it might be. When I look at it, I zoom out. It's like, well,
We're
the bear market
consolidating.
ended. Yeah, exactly. Bear market ended, and we hit a load of, I think it was like 15,000, 16,000 around there.
Yeah.
You don't go from 15,000 to 110,000 like that, right? You need to go up 30,000, consolidate, go up to 40, consolidate, and then if you buy in low enough, those moves they don't matter,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, there's always this psychology of the trader and the investor, right? Like some people bought at 60, they panicked. It got to 15. The moment it got anywhere close to 50 or 60, they're like, "Oh my god, I made money, I'm out." Because like they get so attached to their entry price instead of just being like, okay, maybe I can just buy more and get that cost down if I truly believe in the asset class. Because I do feel that a lot of people still enter Bitcoin of just like, okay, like am I gonna become millionaire tomorrow? And it's like, no, relax. There's still an asset class, and the bigger it is, the harder it'll be to move, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly. And I mean, the way I look at it, I'm both, right? I have my core long term allocation of Bitcoin, which I don't touch until basically I feel like we're close to the peak, and then I start reducing that. And then I have a smaller allocation, which is my trade. So I take advantage of those moves within those 60-day cycles and the weekly cycles, right?
cool, cool,
Um,
cool, cool.
and then I'm able to squeeze out a little bit more. But for example, let's say I get one trade wrong, and I think we're going to drop, and then turns out we keep going up and up and up. I'm not gonna buy higher. I'm okay with not getting in with that smaller allocation because I can deploy that cash to other assets and generate returns on that. It just becomes too risky for me to buy so high.
I get you.
And then similarly on the flip side of that, if I buy and then it drops, right, I get the trade wrong and then it drops, I'm not gonna sell that. Why? That if I still think that the crypto cycle is still ongoing and strong, I'm fine holding that. Even if I'm down 10, 20, 30. Some of my alts right now, right? Because I started buying alts towards the end of last year.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I
Not a
remember
lot
recall.
of alts in January. I'm still buying alts. Some of them are down 50%. I'm not selling. Right?
Because
If
yeah, you're
anything, I'm
still
buying
waiting
more.
because you still want it. You're still thinking that he can rally, right? Like so. Okay, all right. Let me ask you this because we have a minute before the earnings call for MicroStrategy. What are you looking for in MicroStrategy right now? Have you have you kept a close eye on them or just because that'll be interesting to see.
It'll be interesting. I think the most important thing to watch out is their strategy moving forward on are they going to prioritize at the market, basically selling shares to buy more Bitcoin, or are they going to prioritize convertible notes to, and ideally you will want to avoid dilution. So the less stocks you sell, the better. So I think that's the key thing to watch, and I think that's what most people are
Okay.
reacting to.
We provide during today's call regarding our future expectations, plans, and prospects may constitute forward looking statements. Actual
Okay.
results may differ materially from
You're
these
able to
forward
hear?
looking statements due to various important factors, including the risk factors discussed in
I
our
can't
most
hear enough.
recent
I mean, I
10Q
can
filed
listen
with
to
the
it
SEC
on my
and our
headphones.
8K
Okay,
filed
okay.
on January 6, 2025. We assume no obligation to update these forward-looking statements, which speak only as of today. During today's call, we will refer to certain non-GAAP financial measures. Reconciliations showing GAAP versus non-GAAP results are available in our earnings release and presentation, which were issued today and are available on our website at strategy.com. I would now like to welcome you all to today's webinar and let you know that we will be taking questions using the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. You can submit questions throughout the webinar, and
Do
Michael,
you have any
Fong, or
questions?
Andrew will answer questions at the end of the session. Please be sure to provide your name and your company's name when submitting the questions. Now, I'll walk you through the agenda for today's call. First, Fong Lee will cover the business highlights for the fourth quarter and full year of 2024.
Si tenéis alguna
Second,
pregunta, me avisáis,
Andrew
Adrián.
Kang will cover the financial results for the fourth quarter
Scotch
and
and
full year of
stocks
2024.
questions.
Yeah,
And
dude.
then
I'll send
finally,
it
Michael
to
Saylor
the
will
see if they
provide a
answer.
strategic review and discuss the recent Bitcoin market updates. And lastly, we will open up to Q&A. With that, I will turn the call over to Fong Lee, President and CEO of Strategy. Fong?
Thank you, Sharish. Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to today's webinar and our first ever earnings call as Strategy. Microstrategy Incorporated today announced it is now doing business as Strategy. The Microstrategy name and logo date back to our incorporation more than 3 decades ago in 1989.
Oh, wow. They're changing the name, eh?
At that time, we positioned ourselves
Yeah.
at the forefront of the microcomputer revolution. The term micro symbolized precision and our focus on harnessing the power of computing to create business intelligence that changed how companies operate. There have, of course, been significant changes since then, both in the technology industry and to our strategy. Technology is now ubiquitous, and our business strategy and value to our customers is no longer limited to technology. Today, the company is excited to announce its rebrand as Strategy for the following reasons. 1, simplicity. Strategy is a single word, easy to remember, and has 40% fewer
That's
letters
silly.
than
I
MicroStrategy.
agree.
Continuity. Since Strategy is the second half of MicroStrategy's historical brand name, it would represent an evolution, but not a complete change or break from our past. And 3, ambition. The new name would also reflect our ambition to keep pushing boundaries. For example, we are no longer confined to the past, but we're focused on the big picture, driving new innovations in digital capital and business intelligence. So today, Strategy is the world's first and largest Bitcoin treasury company, the largest independent publicly traded business intelligence company, and also a NASDAQ 100 stock. The brand simplification is a natural evolution of the company, reflecting our focus and broad appeal. The new logo includes a stylized B, signifying the company's Bitcoin strategy and our unique position as a Bitcoin treasury company. And our new brand's primary color is now orange, which represents energy, intelligence, and Bitcoin. Alongside our rebranding, we're excited to launch the official Strategy merchandise store, a reflection of our commitment to our passionate retail shareholders who take pride in being part of our journey. Just as sports fans proudly represent their favorite teams, our shareholders and employees and
revenue
customers
from
want to
merch sales.
showcase their support for Bitcoin and for us. Our store will feature a curated collection of Strategy apparel, accessories, and gear designed for
That's
those who share
interesting, eh?
our vision.
They're
You
selling
can now
merch.
visit the store at store.strategy.com.
I want to buy an
We welcome your
Enron
feedback
t-shirt.
and look forward to seeing our community represent Strategy with pride. Next, I'm also excited to share that we launched a new website, strategy.com. As you can see on this slide, it includes a live tracker of various metrics and market data, including share price, performance, market cap, Bitcoin count, trading volume, options, open interest, and more.
It's a good domain to
We
have.
believe such a disclosure will provide more
I'll check it out
transparency
for sure. in
and
a bit.
consistency and real-time information to our investors and stakeholders. Investors can see both real-time data and historical information, such as past Bitcoin purchases, in one simple, accessible place. We have many investors and analysts aggregating this information on their own, and we thank them for their fastidious work. Now we can provide this information, trusted and governed, all in one place. Finally, we've relaunched our software website too, strategysoftware.com. We continue to be at the forefront of innovation in AI-powered business intelligence. We're also progressing rapidly with our cloud transition with a truly cloud-native, open, multi-cloud approach. These are highlighted at our new software website. To celebrate our new brand, learn more about our innovations in AI, cloud,
to know who
and
their
business
customers
intelligence.
are in the software
Spend
side.
time with our software customers and meet folks on the forefront of Bitcoin for corporations. I invite you all to join us at Strategy World 2025 in Orlando, Florida. Go to our websites to register for this event, and I look forward to seeing many of you in Orlando. And if a brand launch was not enough, many of you know we've had a very busy quarter since our last earnings call. Here are some highlights. One, we continue to see momentum in migrating existing customers and adding new prospects to our managed cloud platform. In Q4 2024, we saw a 50% year-over-year increase in current subscription billings and a 48% year-over-year increase in subscription services revenues. Second, we've adopted FASB's fair value accounting standard for our Bitcoin holdings, and this accounting change will be reflected in our Q1 2025 financials. This will lead to a large one-time cumulative effect net increase to the opening balance of our retained earnings of $12.75 billion in Q1, as our Bitcoin holdings will be revalued from the current carrying value to the market value. We are proud to have contributed to the corporate initiative advocating for the revision of prior reporting standards that categorize Bitcoin as an indefinite-lived intangible asset. Three, in December 2024, Strategy was officially included in the NASDAQ 100 index. As a result, investors in QQQ and other NASDAQ 100 index funds will receive exposure to our Bitcoin strategy. According to some estimates, ETFs tracking the NASDAQ 100 have more than $550 billion in assets under management. We view this as an important milestone in the institutional adoption of Bitcoin, and we're proud to be part of the NASDAQ 100. In December, we welcomed 3 new members to our board of directors: Brian Brooks, Jane Dietz, and Greg Winiarski. This expansion increases our board from 6 to 9 members and reinforces our commitment to the highest standards of corporate governance. Each of these distinguished leaders brings a wealth of invaluable experience and expertise in digital assets, capital markets, and regulatory matters. And we believe they will make significant contributions to our strategy as a Bitcoin treasury company, further strengthening our strategic vision and oversight. Lastly, we conducted a special shareholder meeting in January, where our shareholders voted to increase the authorized Class A common stock to 10.33 billion shares and preferred stock to 1.005 billion shares, respectively. The expanded share count will support the execution of our strategy to raise capital opportunistically and effectively through both equity and fixed income securities to purchase Bitcoin in a manner that we believe is advantageous and accretive to our shareholders under the prevailing market conditions. Moving on to the Bitcoin highlights for 2024, Strategy remains the largest corporate holder of Bitcoin in the world, now holding 471,107 Bitcoins, with a total Bitcoin market value of $46 billion as of February 2nd. In the full year of 2024, we acquired an additional 258,320 Bitcoin for a total purchase cost of $22.1 billion at an average price of $85,447.
They're
In
spending.
2024,
They're
the
bullish
price
on
of
it.
Bitcoin appreciated, spurred notably by the approval of spot Bitcoin exchange-traded products, or ETPs. Additionally, the pro-crypto stance of the new administration led by President Trump has drawn considerable institutional attention to the asset class. We believe the introduction and initial success of the spot Bitcoin ETPs evidence the growing maturation of Bitcoin as an institution-grade asset class with broader regulatory recognition and
they literally
institutional
own
adoption. On the capital markets front, we made
2.3%
significant progress
all
towards the
Bitcoin.
advancement of our Bitcoin
Nuts, eh?
strategy. We announced our 21-21 plan in the Q3 earnings call in November to target raising $21 billion of equity and $21 billion from fixed income securities between 2025 and 2027. We have made progress under our 21-21 plan much faster than originally anticipated, with rapid and responsible growth in our capital raising.
Hey, look at that
given favorable market
18.8
dynamics.
via at the market.
In the full year
Class A
2024 and
common
quarter to
stock
date,
sales.
in Q1
Yeah.
2025,
That's
we
what's
raised
being the
$18.8
price
billion
of the stock low.
net proceeds
Every
through
time it
our
goes above
at-the-market
400,
or
450,
ATM equity offering
they
program,
sell more.
and
so
raised $6.2 billion through the issuance of 5 different tranches of convertible notes. This makes Strategy the largest issuer of convertible bonds in a single calendar year in the last decade. We also raised $584 million gross proceeds by issuing Strike, a preferred perpetual stock, last week after filing a shelf registration. We expect to continue issuing innovative fixed income securities and seek to enable our common stock to outperform Bitcoin via intelligent leverage. To manage our overall leverage intelligently and maintain a healthy and robust balance sheet, we redeemed our $500 million senior secured notes due 2028 and called our $650 million convertible notes due 2025 and $1.05 billion convertible
to push
notes
out
due
their
2027.
payment period.
All of our Bitcoin serving
They're
as
repaying
collateral
early.
securing our 2028 senior secured notes was released. As illustrated on this slide, our new capital structure includes the issuance of convertible preferred equity for investors seeking lower volatility and leverage. We believe that our new perpetual strike preferred stock, or STRK, is a
Making a new one.
complementary addition to our convertible bonds and any future fixed debt instruments we might have. Strategy's unique position allowed us to introduce Strike, which is a form of convertible preferred stock with an embedded perpetual call option on Microstrategy, our common stock, which has substantial exposure to Bitcoin. It's important to note that Bitcoin itself is one of the most volatile and historically high-performing commodities available. We created a preferred security convertible into highly liquid equity, which in turn is issued by a company that holds significant amounts of Bitcoin, a volatile and liquid commodity. To our knowledge, Strike is the first preferred equity or convertible preferred equity issued by a company with significant Bitcoin exposure. Its ticker symbol, STRK, is the second publicly traded ticker for Strategy. While Strategy aims to issue leveraged equity through which our investors gain exposure to Bitcoin, STRK Strike offers an 8% fixed coupon and a perpetual uncapped call option in a publicly traded security. This overall capital structure is quite unique and designed to broaden our investor base. The primary objective of introducing Strike was to access an investor base that is interested in investing in securities with exposure.
Yeah,
to
this
Bitcoin,
comes back. This is a
wants
public
lower
offering for
sensitivity
tomorrow.
to Bitcoin's volatility and performance, both on the upside and downside.
No, they already completed
We
it.
recognize that those
it's going to
investing
be
in
listed
MSTR
tomorrow.
Class A common stock typically seek higher volatility and leverage, but we also saw an opportunity to attract a new class of investors interested in
very
reduced
interesting.
volatility and leverage, yet still wanting Bitcoin exposure.
I mean, they really are innovating.
As reflected in the snapshot of our
financial
capital markets
by creating
activity,
these new
2024 was a
new
milestone year for Strategy, with over $22 billion raised to fuel our Bitcoin strategy. The pace of our capital raising and Bitcoin acquisition significantly accelerated in Q4 2024, during which we raised $15 billion through equity issuances and $3 billion via convertible debt in just under 2 months. To put the scale of last quarter's activities in perspective, prior to last quarter, we had raised $10 billion over 17 quarters since adopting Bitcoin as our treasury reserve asset in August 2020. This remarkable ramp up is not only a testament to Bitcoin's broader adoption and price appreciation, but also to support our diverse investor base. who recognize our ability to execute our Bitcoin strategy with laser focus. Andrew will provide further details on our capital markets and Bitcoin purchase activity. Last quarter, we developed a new descriptor for what we are, which is the world's first and largest Bitcoin treasury company, the acronym being coincidentally BTC. We continue to focus on acquiring more Bitcoin through our capital market activities, and we believe that the value proposition of the company centers increasingly on our Bitcoin treasury strategy. We're a publicly traded company that has adopted Bitcoin as our primary treasury reserve asset. By using proceeds from equity and debt financings, as well as cash flows from our operations, we strategically accumulate Bitcoin and advocate for its role as digital capital. Our treasury strategy is designed to provide investors varying degrees of economic exposure to Bitcoin by offering a range of securities, including equity and fixed income instruments. In addition, we provide industry-leading AI-powered enterprise analytics software, advancing our vision of intelligence everywhere. We leverage our development capabilities to explore innovation in Bitcoin applications and integrating analytics experience with our commitment to digital asset growth. We believe our combination of operational excellence, our strategic Bitcoin reserve, and our focus on technological innovation positions us as a leader in both the digital asset and enterprise analytics sectors, offering a unique opportunity for long-term value creation. Since our adoption of our Bitcoin strategy, we've used three primary mechanisms to acquire more Bitcoin. One, fixed income securities. We've issued $8.6 billion of total debt, of which $6.2 billion in principal amount of convertible debt is outstanding, at an attractive blended cost of debt fixed at 0.56% annually. We also raised $584 million in gross proceeds through perpetual preferred stock, and we will continue seeking to innovate with other fixed income securities offerings. Common stock issuances. We have issued $21.7 billion in shares of Class A common stock in a manner that we believe to be accretive to existing shareholders. And cash flow from operations. Since August 2020, we've used $836 million of total cash generated by our software operations to purchase Bitcoin. These three capital market levers have allowed us to raise $31 billion of capital and deploy intelligent leverage to increase our Bitcoin holdings in a manner that we believe has created tremendous shareholder value. Last quarter, we introduced our 21-21 capital raising plan targeting $42 billion in capital, split equally between equity and fixed income over 3 years. Since then, supportive macro conditions led us to accelerate the execution of our capital raising plan. We've already raised 80% of our $21 billion equity target and 17% of our fixed income target, while accumulating significant Bitcoin holdings. In 2025, we are shifting our focus more to fixed income issuances, including convertible notes, preferred stock, and other securities designed to provide leverage that benefits our shareholders. As mentioned in the past, our long-term leverage target is 20 to 30% of our Bitcoin holding value. We remain flexible and will continue to adapt swiftly to market conditions. Now I'll turn the call over to Andrew to discuss our financials for the quarter in further detail.
Adrián, chequea el Telegram.
Thank you, Phong. I'll begin with a review of
What do you think of that
software
question?
results, then go into further detail on our Bitcoin strategy and those results. On slide 16,
Valid.
you can see in Q4, total
I'll
software
send it.
revenues were approximately $121 million, down
know what they
3%
would
year
answer.
over
They
year.
basically just push
Full
out
year
the
2024
repayment
total revenues
periods.
were approximately $464 million, down 7% year over year. We fully anticipated product license revenues along with support revenues to decrease in Q4, and our revenue trend continues to reflect the ongoing successful transition of our software business from on-premise to cloud. Turning to the cloud results, Q4 subscription services revenues increased 48% year over year and now make up approximately 20%.
I did. I sent it.
Full year 2024 subscription services revenues were approximately $106.7 million, reflecting an increase of 32% year over year. The growth in subscription services revenues is a result of the growth in our subscription billings, which also grew by 57% in Q4 to approximately $65 million, our fourth straight year of
Making
quarterly
money.
double-digit growth. The strong growth in our subs billings was again driven by both existing customer migrations to the cloud as well as new customer wins in Q4, and our customer renewal rates continue to remain elevated, consistent with prior quarters. We continue to see growth in demand for our cloud platform, and Q4 was the strongest quarter of customer migrations to cloud to date. The decrease in product license revenues and support revenues will be offset by growth in subscription services revenues. We expect this trend will continue in 2025 in the short term, but in the long run, cloud subscription services revenues should offset this shift as we fully transition our business to the cloud. Cost of revenues were approximately $34 million, up 21% compared to Q4 of last year, and approximately $130 million for the full year, up 18% year over year. The increase was driven primarily by higher cloud hosting costs, which we expect to continue in future periods as a direct result of our growing cloud business. Operating expenses for the software business were approximately $94 million, down 6% compared to Q4 of last year, and full year OpEx was approximately $396 million, which was up 2% year over year. And lastly, digital asset impairment charges in Q4 were approximately $1 billion and approximately $1.8 billion for the full year. I am happy to announce that Q4 will be the last quarter where we will recognize an impairment charge on our Bitcoin holdings as we move to fair value accounting in Q1. Now, turning to our Bitcoin strategy.
So that's why.
Q4 was the most successful quarter of adding Bitcoin on our balance sheet since the adoption of our Bitcoin strategic reserve. We acquired 218,887 Bitcoins from the beginning of the fourth quarter till now for approximately $20.5 billion at an average price of $93,600 per Bitcoin. As of January 24th, the company held a total of 471,107 Bitcoins acquired for an aggregate cost of $30.4 billion, or approximately $64,511 per Bitcoin. Strategy has added Bitcoin to our balance sheet in every single quarter since August 2020 across 50 plus announcements, and 100% of our Bitcoin holdings remain fully unencumbered. As of February 2nd, 2025, the market value of our Bitcoin holdings was $46.1 billion, purchased at an aggregate cost of $30.4 billion, and an average Bitcoin purchase price of $64,511. Beginning with our Q1 2025 reported results, we will reflect the impact of the new FASB fair value accounting rule for our Bitcoin holdings as part of net income. As a result of the change in accounting rule on January 1st, 2025, we recognized a positive cumulative adjustment to the opening balance of our retained earnings of approximately $12.7 billion, which was in large part due to the significant difference between the higher market value of our Bitcoin compared to the carrying value of the Bitcoin on our balance sheet as of December 31st. We will remeasure the fair value of our Bitcoin holdings on the last day of the first quarter, and any difference in the price of Bitcoin at the end of the first quarter compared to the ending price on December 31st will be recognized as income or loss as part of our GAAP reported net income.
Okay.
Since establishing the record $21 billion common equity ATM program on October 30th of last year, which was in fact the largest in capital markets history, we have issued new shares swiftly yet extremely prudently while adapting to the strong market conditions. This chart illustrates the weekly breakdown for the average daily shares issued via our ATM compared to the overall average daily trading volume for each of those weeks. You'll note that while we have sold $16.7 billion of common equity since announcing our new ATM program, That activity accounted for only a very modest 2.9% of the total average daily trading volume of MSTR for the entire period. We continuously monitor Bitcoin price, MSTR share price, as well as overall trading volumes in a programmatic and disciplined manner to sell shares through our ATM and execute sales in a manner we believe that does not impact the overall market price of MSTR. Now, turning to our treasury operations. We had one of our most impactful quarters from a capital markets execution perspective. In Q4, we issued a new $3 billion convertible note in November, which was upsized and well received by the market. The notes due December 2029 had a 0% coupon and 55% conversion premium, reflecting a conversion price of approximately $672 per share. As in the past, the net proceeds from the new convert were used to acquire additional Bitcoin. In Q1, we called for the redemption of our $1.05 billion 2027 convertible notes. As the notes were substantially in the money, we expect most holders will elect to convert their notes into shares of our Class A common stock on or prior to the redemption date. We believe this creates capacity for additional intelligent leverage for our balance sheet in the form of new fixed income instruments. After the redemption of our 2027 convertible notes, our nearest debt maturity is now more than 3 years away and not until late 2028. And the remainder of our scheduled debt maturities are evenly spread over several years out to 2032, with a weighted average scheduled debt maturity of approximately 5 years. Under our current capital structure, we now have $6.2 billion of unsecured convertible debt outstanding, with a blended interest rate of approximately 0.56%, with staggered stated maturities beginning in December 2028 through June 2032. Last quarter, we filed a $21 billion equity at the market program, which was the single largest ATM program ever filed in the US. As of February 2nd, we issued $16.7 billion of common equity under this program, and approximately $4.3 billion of capacity remains available under the shelf.
Somebody tip.
This slide outlines the key terms
That's
of
just when somebody subscribes.
Perpetual convertible preferred stock. We successfully raised $584 million in gross proceeds through the issuance of 7.3 million shares at an offering price of $80 per share. We expect that the security will be listed on NASDAQ under the ticker STRK beginning on February 6th. Looking ahead, we have the flexibility to explore an ATM shelf registration for issuing additional Strike shares, similar to our common stock ATM program. Strike represents the next step in the evolution of our capital structure, expanding the range of investment opportunities for investors with varying risk profiles. And it complements our equity and existing convertible bonds, offering exposure to Bitcoin through MSTR with lower volatility and leverage. We continue to maintain significant debt coverage with $47 billion in Bitcoin holdings against just $3 billion in out-of-the-money convertible debt, or approximately 15 times coverage. We have been asked how we evaluate our leverage targets. We measure leverage risk not against our Bitcoin cost basis, but rather our debt coverage ratio, which remains exceptionally strong. Our current leverage ratio remains below our long-term target range of 20 to 30%, which we provide capacity to expand our capital structure prudently and based on market conditions. In 2025, our focus will be on opportunities to raise additional fixed income securities while preserving flexibility to raise equity and maintaining a healthy debt coverage ratio. Similarly, we believe we have substantial coverage to meet the dividend obligations for our Strike shareholders. The 8% fixed dividend on 7.3 million Strike shares results in an annual cash need of approximately $58 million. Even if netting out the $3 billion in out-of-the-money converts, our Bitcoin holdings leaves us with $44 billion of coverage, more than enough to cover Strike dividends if needed. This slide illustrates our approach to intelligent leverage and the mechanisms available to increase or decrease it. Our outstanding debt and preferred stock together account for approximately 8% of our market cap and approximately 15% of our Bitcoin asset value. Currently, we are below our long-term leverage target of 20 to 30%, and we believe we have capacity to lever up by issuing new convertible debt or fixed income securities. Conversely, deleveraging can occur through debt repayment or conversion to equity, issuing common equity, as well as if Bitcoin price appreciates, which naturally lowers leverage as the market value of our holdings increase. Our leverage ratio declined in Q4 2024 and quarter to date in Q1 2025 due to the combination of these deleveraging factors. As we strategically increase our leverage ratio in 2025, we expect enhanced benefits for common shareholders through a higher BTC yield and elevated volatility, both of which drive long-term value. Today, we are introducing two new KPIs, BTC gain and BTC dollar gain. BTC gain is defined as the number of Bitcoins held by the company at the beginning of a period multiplied by the BTC yield for the same period. This metric quantifies in Bitcoin terms our BTC yield for the quarter. For the full year 2024, our BTC gain was 140,538 Bitcoins, calculated by multiplying the 74.3% BTC yield to our starting balance of 189,150 Bitcoin. Taking the year-end Bitcoin price of 93,400, our BTC dollar gain for 2024 would be calculated as $13.1 billion. It is worth noting that the BTC gain and BTC dollar gain metrics are not gains in the traditional financial context. They are also not measures of return on investment or measures of income generated by our treasury operations or Bitcoin holdings. And BTC dollar gain does not represent the fair value gain on our Bitcoin holdings. Our BTC yield in 2024 of 74.3% surpassed the annual BTC yield in all of the previous years, as well as our initial target of 6 to 10% this year. We can't predict the price of Bitcoin, nor can we predict broader equity and debt capital market conditions. However, we are confident that our Bitcoin treasury strategy will continue to generate value and are revising our targets for 2025 to achieve a minimum of 15% BTC yield and a $10 billion BTC dollar gain for 2025. We will continue to consider the full spectrum of financing options and explore creative capital markets, transactions, and untapped pools of capital to execute this strategy effectively and prudently. We plan to remain disciplined in the use of both the ATM and other capital raising alternatives, doing so in a way to achieve our BTC yield and BTC dollar gain targets. Thank you again for your time today and for your continued support of Strategy. I'll now turn the call over to Michael for his remarks.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to address you all today. I'd like to talk about development so far. Why don't we start with the last 12 months in the Bitcoin marketplace? I think starting from January of 2024, with the approval of the spot Bitcoin ETFs, we had an excellent year of institutional adoption. I would say Wall Street adoption of those ETFs has been extraordinary. There's now something on the range of $140 billion of capital that's flowed into spot Bitcoin ETFs around the world. We saw this transition to fair value accounting in 2024. We've got a Bitcoin president. We've got a pro-Bitcoin cabinet. We've seen an end to the war
Based
on crypto. We've got 250 plus pro-crypto legislators in Congress. We've seen the repeal of SAB 121, which had an effect of preventing banks from being able to consider banking Bitcoin.
Okay.
We've got a lot of enthusiasm around the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Act. And we've seen a dramatic increase in Bitcoin standard companies like Mara, like Riot, like Semler, like MetaPlanet, like Kohler, are all beginning to adopt Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. And there's just been a consistent increase in Bitcoin awareness throughout mainstream media and throughout the traditional investor community over the last 12 months. Next slide. I want to say a few words about our strategy rebrand. We have become a global brand. People recognize strategy in South America, in Europe, in Asia, all across the world, all across the US. And so this is a very logical development. Strategy is easier to say, easier to spell, easier to find, easier to remember. I've been 30 years in the business, and I can't tell you how many times I've heard someone refer to MicroStrategies and get the plural wrong and spell it wrong. And I think that this instantiation and elegant evolution of our brand is going to allow us to reach a much broader group of customers, investors, and partners. And I also think it ties our identity much more closely to Bitcoin and all of the positive aspects of the Bitcoin network in the world. And so I think this is going to be very, very helpful for us in communication.
Yep.
Next slide. You know, our performance is driven by Bitcoin. And as you can see, since we adopted Bitcoin as our primary treasury reserve asset, we've been able to generate annualized performance of approximately 110% a year, which is really extraordinary in the history of the capital markets. Over that time period, bonds are minus 5%.
But if they look back
gold and
5
real
years.
estate between 6 and 8% ARR. The hurdle rate really is the S&P index, which is about 14%. If you want to beat it, you pick the top 7 companies, the Magnificent Seven. You could almost double it. You could get 29%. Bitcoin has outperformed that by a factor of 2. And of course, we've been able to outperform Bitcoin by intelligently levering Bitcoin. Next. This slide just illustrates that one of the results is that MicroStrategy has outperformed every stock in the S&P 500. So this is as of February 4th, yesterday, my birthday. It's a nice birthday present. We continually benchmark ourselves against every company in the S&P 500 every single day, and we're always considering this. But as you can see, it's not close. We're dramatically outperforming the strategy of every other company in the S&P 500 with our Bitcoin strategy. Next slide. Here you can see at the end of the day, if you just bought Bitcoin, you would outperform 99% of the S&P 500. So Bitcoin as pure digital capital is a very, very compelling investment idea. The Magnificent Seven is outperforming 94% of the S&P 500. And of course, the index is outperforming 62%. And the message here really is many, many companies are struggling to outperform the index. And it's time to consider a Bitcoin strategy. Next. Well, as you know, the secret, of course, to that strategy isn't just performance, it's also the volatility. Volatility is a measure of energy. And as you can see, strategy is the most volatile stock out of the S&P 500 universe. So we don't hide from it. We're quite proud of it. We engineer the business in order to stay volatile. Conventional wisdom is to strip volatility from a publicly traded company, strip it from the balance sheet, strip it from the P&L. MicroStrategy has embraced volatility,
good with it?
and not only do we pursue it with Bitcoin, but we pursue it with our leverage strategies to actually get a volatility that's greater than the native Bitcoin volatility. There's a result of that volatility, and the result is liquidity and optionality. As you can see here, we have the largest open options interest of any company in the S&P 500 universe as a measure of market cap. And you can see we're number 2 in liquidity as a measure of or divided by market cap. So we've established a fairly intense capital structure. It's fast money, it's hot money, and it's that way by design.
Look
Next.
at how liquid their options are and their volume.
One of the results is we have the largest, deepest options pool in the Bitcoin universe. And you can see that our options are trading by a factor of more than 5 versus IBIT. And we'll continue to pursue this strategy. We think this gives us an advantage. Next.
Liquid chain.
That optionality and that volatility, of course, is a benefit in the convertible bond market. You can see here that the blended performance of our convertible bonds is 75% versus Bitcoin's performance of 64% during the same time frame. So our convertible bonds are unique. If you wanted to get Bitcoin exposure, but you wanted to get the credit assurances of a bond, and or the volatility characteristics of a bond, MicroStrategy is unique. We were the largest convertible bond issuer in 2024. We think we have an advantage in this market because we have one of the great use of proceeds for a convertible bond. If you're going to issue a convertible bond, you want high volatility in order to issue the bond, but you want to take the use of proceeds and reinvest it in a high volatility asset, which is what Bitcoin is. And so by issuing a bond and issuing very volatile securities and then buying back a volatile commodity, we're able to maintain a scalable business and continue to go back to the market over and over again. Next. And so on the margin, you can see MicroStrategy is outperforming all major assets, all major asset classes, and the S&P. And we're so enthusiastic about this, we've decided that we would go ahead and memorialize this and create a strategy.com website. And if you go to our strategy.com website, you'll see you're able to actually track MicroStrategy's performance against the Magnificent Seven, against these asset classes every single day in real time. And so our goal is to help educate the investment community so they actually understand both the characteristics of Bitcoin and the characteristics of MicroStrategy versus all the other investment options in that investment universe. Next. You'll see on the strategy.com website a dashboard, and you'll see all sorts of interesting KPIs that are being maintained in real time. What you can see here is a snapshot is we've got an annualized return of 110% over the year versus 59% for Bitcoin. You can see our options market is 5.6x as big as the next largest Bitcoin options market. We will continue to track metrics that aren't always easy for people to get, like daily trading volume or daily trading volume as percentage of market cap, or give you every single day real-time performance of our convertible bonds versus Bitcoin, and our implied volatilities and our historic volatilities. And so I'm really enthusiastic to see what people think of this. The website, it's kind of tailor-made in another way, which is you can very easily snapshot the website, and you can create graphics and snapshot them and share them and or use them in your analysis. And we think this is kind of a first. I'm not really aware of another public operating company that published a live website with so many different interesting investment analytics looking at the universe of investment assets. Next. Looking forward to 2025, there's a set of catalysts that I think are bullish. I think all of the focus on constructing a digital assets framework that's taking place at the SEC and in the Senate and in the House and within the administration, I think this is a great thing for Bitcoin and the entire crypto asset class in general. I think there'll be a lot of enhancements to Bitcoin ETFs, the in-kind create and redemptions. I think you'll see a deeper, richer options market for a lot more spot ETFs. I think you'll see other ETFs coming along that give people the ability to take on different types of Bitcoin exposure. I think all of those are good things for the asset. I think you'll see a continued move toward more banking support for Bitcoin. The repeal of SAB 121 opened that door, but I think we'll see more and more support from a supportive set of regulators. And as the banks start to take a fresh look at supporting Bitcoin, it's going to be good for the asset class. We'll continue to see more corporate adoption of Bitcoin. Every month, we hear about another company that's adopting Bitcoin as a treasury asset. And of course, the existing companies like Metaplanet, like Semler, like Mara, are intensifying their Bitcoin acquisitions and their Bitcoin financing and capital markets related activities. This is only going to be good for Bitcoin, the network, and Bitcoin, the asset class. We also see good signs of institutional adoption. It's becoming more normal. We're seeing people talk about 1% to 3% allocations of a portfolio to Bitcoin. We're seeing Bitcoin pop up as an agenda item in more and more mainstream investor conferences. I'm being invited to lots and lots of mainstream investor conferences. And a year ago, 2 years ago, this wasn't so common. But what's clear is that Bitcoin is on the radar of global investors and mainstream institutional investors, and everyone's starting to think they need to form an opinion. They need to get up to speed on this, and they need to figure out what their strategy is going to be. So Bitcoin global adoption is accelerating. The events of November 5th created a supportive political regime in the United States, but the regulators in Europe, in Singapore, in the Middle East, in South America, even in Hong Kong and China, they all look to the regulators in Washington, D.C. to take their cue. And so there's a wave of political support, which is spreading around the globe for Bitcoin. All of these things are going to be positive catalysts for awareness, adoption, investment in the coming 12 months. Next. So our strategy, with regard to MSTR, we want that to be the high leverage, high volatility equity in the Bitcoin ecosystem. And we will continue to pursue intelligent leverage via our convertible bond strategies, via our preferred stock strategies, via opportunistic capital markets strategies in order to generate that leverage and that performance for the Bitcoin maxi investors. Our convertible debt strategy will continue. We will, as we have done, selectively refinance various debt instruments when they're no longer providing effective leverage for our common stock shareholders and when they're no longer interesting for the convertible debt investors. We'll replace them with new issuance of convertible debt. And we think there's a lot of opportunity for us to refinance our existing convertible debt and to expand our convertible debt structure in order to create intelligent leverage. We've got a very good partnership with the convertible bond market, and we look forward to continuing it with them. The third area, Strike, is the convertible preferred stock market. There are people that want large fixed income, large dividends, and so Strike is an 8% dividend yield. They wouldn't get that need met by a convertible bond, and so this draws in those that are interested in that income. If you wanted to put an instrument that generated consistent income into a retirement account or into a tax deferred account, then this is something very interesting. There's a large pool of investors that have fixed income funds, and they need to invest in fixed income instruments. There are other investors that are invested in preferred stocks. There are other investors that are interested in Bitcoin upside, but they would like some principal or downside protection. And there are some that if we look at volatility, Bitcoin is a 50 to 60 vol asset, and MicroStrategy is targeting higher, an 80 or a 90 vol. On the other hand, there's a large pool of investors that invest in QQQ and SPY, and they're around 15 vol, 15 to 20 vol. And so between 15 vol and 60 vol, that's a big area where if you can create an instrument that has more volatility than, say, a typical preferred stock or a typical diversified portfolio of high yield bonds, then that's going to appeal to a new class of investors. There are a lot of investors that kind of want that kind of volatility. They may not want the extreme leverage of MicroStrategy. They might not even want the raw, unvarnished volatility of an IBIT or a BTC, but Strike appeals to a new group, a different return profile, a different volatility profile. And yet, Strike is very special because it's a perpetual dividend, right? Like it'll continue. We're not going to call it, right? So the idea of a perpetual dividend is very interesting. And the other thing is it's a perpetual call option or perpetual conversion option. So for very long range investors that are either looking for the perpetual dividend right or the perpetual conversion right, this is just a totally new part of the market. We're enthusiastic to see what happens. It creates tremendous optionality for us. And of course, at the bottom of this chart, you can imagine we have not issued a fixed coupon instrument recently. We did have a fixed bond. The 28 note was a fixed coupon corporate bond, but we repaid that. But looking forward, we think that there's probably a spot in our capital structure where we could just issue a fixed coupon type preferred without a conversion right, and that would be even a fourth class of investors. So we will continue to be very thoughtful and strategic about this. I mean, sometimes people wonder, they're like, well, why do you choose to issue equity instead of a convert? Well, if we don't like the premium that the equity is fetching, we don't issue much. And if we like the premium, we like the liquidity, we would issue more. So if we stop issuing for some reason, probably the reason is we just don't think it's that accretive for our shareholders. And at any given time, whether or not the best thing for the shareholders is equity issuance or convertible debt issuance or preferred stock issuance or repayment or refinancing, it's really a function of the capital markets, and it's a function of all of the intelligent leverage ratios and the BTC yield that we can generate, the BTC gain that we can generate for a certain amount of capital we might raise. And we have very sophisticated models. We calculate this every minute of the day, right? Not every day, every minute of the day, sometimes every second of the day. So we're very thoughtful and we're very considerate about this. And I think the most important thing for us is we keep our options open and we develop a variety of different options for capital raising. Our view is that Strike is actually accretive. It is a benefit to Bitcoin. It's a benefit to MSTR. It's a benefit to the convertible bonds. and it's a
Oh, sí, yo
benefit
creo
to
que
strike
Michael Saylor,
shareholders themselves. So think of a quad reflexive type strategy. Everything we're doing is with the thought of the impact on every other part of the capital structure and the entire Bitcoin ecosystem. And we will continue to be very thoughtful in how we pursue this. Next. A snapshot of our capital structure.
you taking notes?
As of yesterday, we had a bit more than $100 billion in equity market cap. And so we've got a $94 billion equity market cushion over our fixed income liabilities. And of course, you could see about a $39 billion Bitcoin cushion over our fixed income liabilities. So we've got a very strong capital structure. We've led with equity in order to create a very, very strong cushion. But that puts us in a great position to lever up and to continue to raise capital and take a leadership role in this marketplace.
And pushing
Next.
down 6.5.
A few words about BTC yield and BTC gain. First of all, we had a target of 6 to 10% for BTC yield. At this point, we believe for the 2025 calendar year, we can set that target to 15%. So we're adjusting the target up. And what is BTC yield, right? BTC yield is our accretion of Bitcoin per share. If we were a spot ETF, there would be no BTC yield. If we were to sell equity at the net asset value at a 0% premium to the underlying Bitcoin, there would be no BTC yield. If we were to sell equity at a discount to our net asset value, there would be a negative BTC yield. So when we're generating BTC yield, it's because we're engaged in what we believe are accretive capital markets transactions. If we're selling the equity at 150% premium to the underlying assets, it's a much larger yield. If it's a 250% premium, it would be even larger on a given capital basis. As a general rule, the fixed income instruments have a much higher premium to underlying assets than does the straight equity. And so, if we're issuing a convertible bond at a high premium, then for a given amount of capital we raise, the BTC yield would be higher. People wonder, what's the significance of BTC yield? Well, if you think of it, it's not the investment gain from just holding the Bitcoin. If we just hold $50 billion of Bitcoin and it goes up 20% next year, there's a $10 billion type investment gain. That's the same gain that an ETF would have. However, when we issue $20 billion worth of new capital or new securities, and we do it at an effective 100% premium to the underlying assets, half of that is an accretion. And so that's like a $10 billion BTC gain, or it's $10 billion divided by the amount of Bitcoin we have by 50. So that would look like a 20% type BTC yield. So the more intelligently we operate the treasury operations, and the more creatively we do that, the higher that BTC yield will be. And so you could think of BTC yield as a percentage measure of the value that we're creating for the shareholders from intelligent treasury operations. And people talk about and they wonder about the premium to underlying assets and what's merited. Well, I would say figure out what multiple you want to put on the business and then take that multiple, multiply it by the BTC yield, take a multiple times 15%. That's actually a reasonable target for the premium that ought to sit on that the company ought to get over and above its underlying assets. If you believe in a 10 multiple, you multiply 10 times 15% and have 150% premium. If you had a lower multiple, if you thought we would only do this once and never again, you would multiply 1 times 15% and say they're going to get a 15% BTC yield once and never again. But of course, that multiple could be anything, and we leave it to our investors to decide what the multiple should be. But the right way to think about BTC yield is a multiple of BTC yield is the premium that a Bitcoin treasury company should get over and above its underlying Bitcoin assets. Why? Because if we just stopped engaging in treasury operations, if all we did was become a holding company and we didn't do any more capital raise ever, then we're just watching the Bitcoin go up or go down based upon the underlying Bitcoin performance, which is just like an ETF. And so that's BTC yield for you. Some people have a hard time with that, which is why we've introduced BTC gain. BTC gain, I think of as the amount of Bitcoin we captured in a non-dilutive fashion, right? If we actually are engaging capital markets activities at a premium, we're selling $100 million worth of equity backed by 50 million of Bitcoin, we've captured a $50 million gain, right? That's the way we think of it. If we sold $100 million of equity backed by 100 million of Bitcoin, we'd be capturing a $0 BTC gain. And if we were stupid enough to sell $100 million of equity backed by 200 million of Bitcoin, we would actually generate a $100 million BTC loss. So obviously, we won't be doing that. But the power of BTC gain is it's a way to quantify the shareholder value creation of the treasury operation in BTC terms every quarter, or on a deal-by-deal basis, or on a year-by-year basis. And you can see here, our target is to generate $10 billion worth of BTC dollar gains in the 2025 calendar year. If we didn't engage in treasury operations, that would be zero. If we engaged in neutral treasury operations with no accretion, no dilution, that would still be zero. We would expand our capital base, but we wouldn't generate a BTC gain. So BTC gain is that measure of value creation. Doesn't go through the P&L. You won't see it as an investment gain. It really is due to intelligent Bitcoin acquisition activities. But we have introduced this in order to make it easier for our shareholders to understand the business. So if you're wondering, well, how do I think about the business? I think the Bitcoin treasury operation, if it's able to create $10 billion of BTC gains, it's worth a multiple of that. And of course, you can put the multiple on the operation, whatever you want. Could be 10, could be 20, could be 30, could be 1. It's up to you. But take that multiple, multiply it by BTC dollar gain. That's what we think the operation is worth. Then you can go ahead and add the Bitcoin treasury to it. And that gets you to a value for the enterprise. So with that, we've created these two simple ideas. Our target of the management team is to generate $10 billion of BTC gains this year, and our target is to generate 15% BTC yield this year through our treasury operations. And next. I think I would just like to thank everybody for your support. And at this point, I'd like to pass the floor to Shirish for some questions from the audience.
Great. Thank you, Michael. We are going to jump into the questions now. And the first question is for Andrew. This is about the Strike deal. Say the question is like, congrats on the successful capital raise through Strike convertible preferred. And the question is, could you please elaborate on the flexibility for the Strike dividend to be paid out in cash or in common stock? And how do you plan to fund the dividends going forward?
Sure. Thanks for the question. I guess first off, it's worth just saying again, we believe Strike is an extremely accretive tool to raise capital. And yet today it's just a pretty small part of our tool chest, so to speak, compared to our ATM and our converts. I guess in terms of meeting the obligations, we will not need to rely solely on cash from operations. We will use all of our capital sources to pay these dividends, including primarily the ATM. I guess it's worth noting too, look, we raised over $20 billion in capital, $20 billion in capital since the beginning of Q4. You really need to compare that to the $14-ish million in the quarterly dividend payments for Strike. So it's just our ability to raise capital relative to the obligation on Strike is immense compared to what we need to pay. So look, I think we have lots of capacity and lots of flexibility to cover the dividends, and I also think that our ability to raise capital in the future should increase, as well as our market cap continues to increase. So overall, I think we are very comfortable in our ability to pay these in perpetuity.
Thank you, Andrew. We are actually over the allocated time for this call, so we will take one final question for Michael, and that is regarding the tax issue. So what are the company's latest thoughts on the taxes on unrealized capital gains, and what steps are being taken to mitigate this risk, and what are the implications if this tax issue becomes
Good question.
effective at some point in the future?
Good question. We've been in dialogue with the IRS on this matter, and we're also in dialogue with members of the cabinet and with supporters on Capitol Hill and the Senate and the House. We don't think that there's any broad-based support for the idea of an unrealized capital gains tax on crypto assets for large corporate holders. So we don't expect over time that this will come to much. But having said all that, in the event that there was an unrealized capital gains tax on corporate holders, we see it as a second-order impact. It shouldn't affect our convertible bond strategy, our fixed income strategy, our equity strategies. It would be a nuisance, and it would somewhat slow down our growth rate. But at the end of the day, we're arbitraging equity and debt capital markets where the cost of capital is 5 to 15% and the volatilities are 5 to 15 against Bitcoin with performance of 60%, 60 vol. And so whether or not we're arbitraging 60 versus 10 or 55 versus 10 or 52 versus 10 doesn't really much change the business strategy. Might just slightly slow down our growth rate. And we remain confident that we'll manage this issue.
Great. Thank you, Michael. So thank you, everyone, for your questions. Hopefully, we addressed a lot of those over the course of the call today. This concludes the Q&A portion of the webinar. We would like to thank the 10,000 plus unique attendees that joined our call live today. And I will now turn the call over to Phong for closing remarks.
Thank you, Shirish. I want to thank everyone who joined us today. And as always, we really do appreciate all of your support. Hopefully, you're as excited as we are about our enterprise software strategy, our Bitcoin strategy, and our strategy in general. We look forward to seeing you again in 12 weeks, and hopefully we'll see a lot of you in Orlando at Strategy World 2025 in early May. Thanks, and have a good evening.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first, let's take a look at what MicroStrategy is doing. Nothing.
Well, right now it's what? It's back to, like, it did come down a little bit, but like for MicroStrategy, it's not a major move at all. Right?
Yeah, it's flat.
Yeah, it's pretty much flat. Like it came off during the day, but that's just like I think it has to do more with the price of Bitcoin throughout the day than anything else. It's
Yeah,
just
I mean, overall, nothing.
you know, what are your thoughts on this? I don't know. Like it just like it's they're doing so many different things in order to continue to raise capital, but they're just like they just borrow money very cheaply because they don't pay any coupons on their convertible debt, do they?
They don't for most. If they do, it's like like 1% or something ridiculous like that.
So pretty much they're borrowing and hoping that the price like there's appreciation because they say so what this new thing so they're coming up with a preferred stock, but it's really tiny. Like they're hoping to what like get like $500 million worth of capital from it,
Right. 500 million. Yeah.
right? So like in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't seem like a crazy number. It's still big, but
I think they're just trying to capture different players in the market, right? They have kind of like your degenerates will just go in with MicroStrategy stock, or even some of the leverage ETFs for MicroStrategy stock, like MSTU, MSTY. Um, and then they have kind of like your corporate, bond holders, right? Which they go after that convertible note. Um, and I think that one is more about some of these like investment funds or money managers. They may have a mandate where, okay, no, you can't really invest in risky stocks, but you're able to invest in bonds. So that's kind of like a way to get around to that and get exposure to Bitcoin, really, using those bonds if
okay.
the mandates don't some money managers to purchase Bitcoin directly, obviously, or even specific stocks. And I think the strike one, it's basically in between, right? They do want exposure to Bitcoin, but they also need to generate some kind of dividend and not have the stock be as volatile. But at the end of the day, it's still gonna be volatile because it's a 1 to 10, or sorry, 10 to 1. So 10 strike stocks can be convertible for one MicroStrategy, which that's something that doesn't really make sense to me because it's priced at 80,
Yeah,
right? So then that would mean $800 for MicroStrategy stock, which is trading at 336 right now, 333 right now. So even that's going at a premium. But I guess the 8% dividend payment kind of makes up for it. I assume that's kind of the
for
thought
now.
behind that. Yeah. And if the stock goes up, right? If Bitcoin goes up, MicroStrategy goes up. If MicroStrategy goes up, then Strike goes up. If Strike goes up, the dividend, the 8% dividend goes up, right? As a like net dollars
Yeah.
compared to your price.
Okay. So it's interesting. So okay, what would you say was like the big positive here? Because the thing is, like I'm still sort of trying to so they're not a right. So MicroStrategy is now called Strategy, which is kind of hilarious that they're just hoping to change the sort of like view. Okay, I buy that, fine. And then all of a sudden it's like so. Like they just they hold Bitcoin in different financial ways for the market to have access to it and sort of take away the limitations. But
I think it's a little bit more selfish than that. I don't think they're doing it just for like, oh, we're trying to help out people that want exposure. I mean, they acknowledge the fact that they have an advantage versus other players by having the ability to tap into your traditional financial markets through bonds and equity offerings, all these different instruments that they have to raise very very cheap capital and basically leverage their Bitcoin buys. Essentially, you're when you buy MicroStrategy, you're essentially buying a leverage Bitcoin ETF. I mean, it's not as direct as that, But essentially, that's what they're doing. They're just long-term, cheap leverage on using traditional capital markets to allow people to get exposure to that.
Okay. Because that's the thing. I've not entered MicroStrategy yet, just because like it just seems such a like such a convoluted process. If I would just want to like for me, it's like if I want to just exposure to Bitcoin, I'll just buy Bitcoin. You know, like I prefer to
Right,
hold the
right.
asset. At least for me, like that's the thing that's kind of like made me stay away from it. And like I don't know, like a lot of people have come to ask me, it's like, okay, it's like, is it a good time to buy MicroStrategy right now? And we're just such a place where it's like, like I think what was the high of the stock, you know, like we've come down significantly.
Yeah, it hit
550
520.
peaked up,
550 was it? Yeah.
yeah, peaked up almost 540 some, 548 the highs, right? And then right now we're sitting
I
at
mean,
330.
do you want to go to the, yeah, look at that, right? So, but also draw a line right there, right? Where that bottom is,
So
around like
horizontal.
20. I mean, it did be below 200, right? So you see that there's support, which corresponds, I think that's a 280 level as well.
Yeah, so around 280, 300. I would say.
Right. So you had that peak mania phase where everybody said, "Oh, MicroStrategy is going to go like 10x what Bitcoin is doing," right? And right now we're in this wedge, right?
Yeah.
I think, and that aligns also with Bitcoin and the entire market about to, I would say in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we should have a breakout of Bitcoin and altcoins. Basically, everything should be going up, meaning that it should break out of this wedge to the upside. So if you take the height of that breakout, right, that will give you a target. I
It
don't
should
know
be
what. Yeah.
somewhere around like 600 maybe. You
Well,
think?
yeah. Well,
Here, I'll share my screen so you can actually see the movements.
on the stream.
Because I don't know what the delay is on my stream, but
So that gives you what, to 600? I
that
mean,
gets you
that's
to
not that's
600. Like a breakout
that's not
from the wedge.
it 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 hit 550. So 600 is not, it's not that crazy. If you have Bitcoin at
Well, yeah, if
120,000.
Bitcoin goes up, right? Because like that's where like the leverage side of things, it's like because what I think you mentioned it was like 1.1 the reality of the leverage. Like I don't think it's like a crazy 200-300x leverage.
Yeah. Now look, zoom in a little bit and look at what are your three moving averages that you have there.
Let's have a look. I have what, the 100, the 200, and the 50.
Yeah. So see how they correspond with the bottom and top of the wedge,
Yeah,
right? So in addition to breaking out of that triangle wedge to the upside, you'll probably break out of that moving average that you have on the top.
and you break something
That's
out
an
like this. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. But the thing is, it's
And
like
then if
if MicroStrategy is pumping, Bitcoin is pumping in the backside, like in the back end, right? Because it's gonna
Yeah,
chase the Bitcoin price.
yeah, and also the other thing, if you look, you don't have it up there, but if you look at the RSI, it's kind of been it's been consolidating for a while now as well. So that our RSI is it's pretty much flat. It's not oversold or anything, but it's closer to the bottom than the top. And when it does pump, when MicroStrategy does pump, it tends to stay
Go
at the
crazy.
overbought RSI levels for a while.
Okay.
So I think it's getting ready to do something here now. The pressure, the sell pressure that you see, is from their ATM um, offerings, right? So that's one thing that they mentioned on the call. So initially, the part of their strategy that they announced towards the end of last year was 21 and 21, right? So 21 billion in ATM, meaning they're going to sell equity, they're going to issue new equities and sell at the market, right? Just sell it into the market to raise more funding. Then they're going to take those proceeds
But
and buy Bitcoin with it, right? So that creates two things. That sells pressure, right? Because you're selling to the market, which you know, I think that's what stopped it from going up further and further, right? And they knew that, right? They need to take advantage of that, because if they feel like their stock price, if their stock is overvalued, they're going to capture that value, right? Sell it into the market, and then turn around and use that to buy Bitcoin. And that's where they say, okay, we're increasing our Bitcoin per share, right? We're increasing our Bitcoin yield, right? Because for the same amount of stock, you own more Bitcoin,
okay.
right? So that's one part of the strategy, and then the other strategy is at 21 billion on convertible notes, which I think they've completed 6 billion, 6 to 7 billion of that. Right, that doesn't really have. I mean, it does have a downward pressure on the stock price, but that's more long term because those notes are not convertible until like later. I think their earliest one is 2027, right? Where they convert. Um, Also, the bondholders have an option to convert um, those notes into a MicroStrategy stock if they hit a given price. And then if they turn around and sell that MicroStrategy stock because they need to gather for whatever reason, that then creates a sell pressure, right? That creates sell pressure on the stock. But you're not really having that if we look at their website, right? And you look at their debt, their next convertible bond maturity is 2027.
So
Right?
their new one, strategy.com.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. That. So yeah, they converts in 2027,
So
and then
I
the
guess
conversion
the
price
key
103.
takeaway from that is most, I would say, most of the downward pressure on the stock has taken place already on that run up. Since then, we've come down what 40%, all the way down to like 280 ish. Now we're kind of stabilized in the 300, mid 300 range,
Yeah.
and being consolidated at the same time that Bitcoin has been consolidating. So I think there's going to be a run up. Uh, I put it this way: in the next month, a month from now, MicroStrategy will be higher than it is today.
Okay.
Right? I would say 400s, somewhere in the mid 400s, it should be there. Um, and
Okay.
and then they're still going to continue raising capital, but I don't think. I mean, they might just turn around and say, "Yeah, we're going to sell more shares," but I think the bulk of that has taken place already. So we should see a reduction in that sell pressure for MicroStrategy, and also just the sentiment, right? I mean, I got into MicroStrategy, low 100s. So I saw what, like a 4x. I'm mostly out. Like I told you, I'm playing the
Yeah,
options, the
yeah, yeah.
cover. I still have some MicroStrategy stock, but it's significantly less than what at some point I was just very heavy MicroStrategy on that run up. So I think the sentiment has reset. People are kind of, if you go on Reddit, there's a MicroStrategy Reddit subreddit there, and you see people. At first, it was like, yeah, we're going to him, and now it's like, oh, you know, screw Michael Saylor. Why is he doing this to us?
Well, a lot of
So I
people
think,
enter. Like, look at that. Like, let's just look at the volume spike, right?
hmm
You can see the volume spike. A lot of people bought at those highs, and like we're coming down, which is interesting. Low volume has been, I would say, like the theme of this year for sure. Like not only MicroStrategy, but many stocks too. So
yeah,
interesting. Okay,
so,
cool. Okay, man, so much. They like it was hilarious though. They called because it's like they spoke, and then it was like we're gonna take questions now, and then they took two questions.
right.
Yeah. So I'm sure because you found like the last question was about like unrealized capital gains.
Yeah, so let me explain that one a little bit, because that one has to do with this alternative corporate tax that the IRS said. Basically, it's a way to make sure companies are paying their fair share in taxes. So
Okay.
I believe any company that has more, it applies to any company that has more than $1 billion in revenue. I might be wrong, but I think that's what it is. So you have the GAAP accounting, right? Your standard, or sorry, you have like your tax accounting, right? Which you reduce your income by having expenses reduced from it, and so on. So it is possible for a company that's generating income, like billions of dollars in income, to pay zero taxes because they're reducing their income with all those expenses. So instead of that, they say, okay, if that amount is lower, uh, you would have to pay. I think it's is it 15%? Let me put that alternative. 17, right? So in that case, they will, instead of taking the tax accounting income, they will take the kind of like your normal um, financial statement income, right? That stuff that you report to the markets, and then it's a 15% tax on that. So the company will pay the whichever one is higher.
Okay.
So as part of that, um, that announcement that the IRS made, they also took into account unrealized capital gains. So obviously, with MicroStrategy, they have billions of dollars of unrealized capital gains. So
Yeah.
even if they didn't sell, they would be taxed. And then recently, I think this month, Coinbase and MicroStrategy sent a letter to the IRS seeking guidance on specifically Bitcoin, right? Because obviously MicroStrategy, that would be huge, right? Because then they would need to sell Bitcoin to pay their tax
Yeah, which
bill.
then creates a capital gain, and then because now it's realized, so you're just creating a massive
Yeah,
loophole, like a massive just like spiral. But do you
yeah,
think do you think we get
the other
that?
thing is the other issue with that one is, companies like Coinbase, or Binance not operating in the U.S., but companies that hold uh, Bitcoin or other crypto assets for their customers,
Would
right?
they be
They
liable
will
for
be
that?
taxed down, even though they're just holding onto those assets for their customers.
Okay.
It doesn't really make sense. So that's where that question came about, and I don't think right now we have clarity on it. But also with this administration, that's a lot more pro crypto, then yeah, I don't expect that to be an issue
Okay.
moving forward.
Okay. 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 All right. That's it. That's interesting. Okay. 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 So
What you should go to? Go to MSTR tracker.
bam. Got it. All right. I'm here.
This one, I think the dashboard that strategy provided is good, but this one provides a good, interesting view on the net asset value, the NAV, right? So I think right now, what is the net asset value at? Probably 1 point something, 1.3, 1.4, I believe.
Okay.
So if you look at this chart, right, what it's telling you, it's basically trying to forecast what the company valuation would be at different net asset
Bitcoin
values.
levels.
Yeah. So it can be seen, it can be used to see, okay, this is when MicroStrategy is cheap, this is when MicroStrategy is expensive. The latest multiplier is the last red dot, all the way to the right.
So here,
Yeah,
1.98.
so 1.8, yeah.
So that's the first 21. Okay.
And then if you look at the highest one, the orange one, that's probably sometime in October, November, when MicroStrategy was at its peak.
473. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, see, November.
And then this would be the
So if you're making some financial decisions, by the way, not financial advice or anything,
fair.
if you're making some financial decisions on this, right, you could say, okay, MicroStrategy right now is at 1.8 NAV. It previously was at 3, right? So maybe it can go up to 3 or even 2.5, right? In addition to that, it's been consolidated for the past 2.5 months, right? So has Bitcoin. We've established kind of like that technical analysis of that wedge that it seems like it's about to break out either to the downside or the upside. But given where we are in the bull cycle, it's most likely that's going to break out to the upside. In addition to the moving averages that are acting as support and resistance.
Okay. Hmm. Interesting. So let me ask you this. Let me ask you bluntly. What are you buying next? Are you buying more Bitcoin or are you buying more MicroStrategy at this point?
I'm buying Ethereum.
Nice.
A
Okay.
lot of the MicroStrategy holdings that I had, I moved into Ethereum. Now I'm down on that, but I'm just getting ready for that final breakout of Ethereum. That's kind of like the next phase of the crypto bull run.
Okay.
At least that's my thesis.
Okay. Well, that was the thing. Like I think I was looking at Coin Market. I did you remember I mentioned in the group chat the Ethereum calls? Well, those went to zero. Because I think like I'm on the leveraged ETF. It's on the yeah,
If you
ETH. Yeah. I'm on the 2x. And
yeah,
95% down. It
probably
wasn't a lot. It wasn't a lot of capital. So I'm happy, it was like kind of like a lotto ticket kind of thing. It was what I was hoping. But it might not even be a bad strategy to enter now.
right now, yeah, right now
Like even last
I
week,
would
like a couple of days ago where it hit two like what was the lows of the like it touched
100.
2.2, yeah. Like 2,300, that would have been the key idea. Like the
But
key
that
point.
was so I was watching it as it was going down, and like I was talking, I was in the car having a conversation with somebody, and I just missed it. Like it was there for maybe like a minute, 2 minutes
Yeah,
tops. You got to be
literally.
paying market, and then it jumped back up to 2,500 in like within a
Yeah.
5 minute period.
Yeah. Like it took like less than yeah. Yeah, it was pretty crazy, yeah. I was asleep back then. Like, yeah, I saw the drop and I was just like, whoa, what is happening? But then that again, like, well, that was on the Monday, no? No. Am I
That was
tripping?
that was this that was like
Yeah.
3 days ago. Yeah, Monday.
Yeah,
No, that was
Monday.
Sunday.
Sunday. Okay. Yeah, with the tariffs, like that just, like that was such an opportunity just to kind of like enter. Like there was a lot of like a lot of blood on the streets. And when there's blood on the streets, it's time to
Exactly.
make money.
Yeah, I had some. Well, I still have those call options for U Pro, which is leverage S&P 500. They were in the money. They were like well in the money on Friday. I think I even mentioned it in the crypto group that I was gonna take some profits on that. But I didn't, or at least I didn't take enough, right? But so come Monday, it was down, and then they expire this Friday. They're almost in the money, so I think I'm still holding. But even if they go to zero, I basically double down, and I open what when the market was low on Monday. When it opened, I opened an additional. I basically doubled the amount of options I had on UPro,
Okay.
expiring not this week but next week,
Okay.
at the same level. So my thesis on that one is that we should see the stock market recovering and going to all time highs within the next 2 3 weeks.
That's what I'm thinking. My initial thesis coming into this year was that January was going to be an ugly year because we still didn't know what Trump really wanted to do. Now we're getting a little bit more clarity, right? Which sort of like takes away the clouds in the panorama, right? Now we have an idea. He wants to focus on immigration. He wants to focus on potentially being the big boss around, throwing tariffs around willy-nilly, like he's gonna, like he wants to chop everybody's head off. Um, so that gave us more clarity. But I was expecting like, like the volatility to die into February, but then all of a sudden he starts freaking threatening Canada, Mexico, and China all at the same time, and he's like, you know what, guys, how about we go to the ring and throw a few rounds. So that kind of took everything away. So I'm in triple QQQ options right now, and they're in the money right now because they ended up bouncing today. I did lose a little bit. No, actually they're up today, 7% up. Not bad.
Daily P&L
Hmm?
2,500. Daily P&L 2,500.
Yeah, that's why it's like I have a little bit on the TQs but that's mostly in the Nvidia bounce. Like I'm heavy on Nvidia in my short-term portfolio. So
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be a volatile 4 years. I think it's gonna take a market a little bit of time to get used to
adjust.
volatility.
Yeah,
Uh,
get
but
used to
like
Trump, because there's only so many times. Like that's one episode that I definitely want to do. It's how to deal with the Trump trade, and it's like I really like I need to read the art of the deal and then figure out exactly how he's gonna be acting, because like that was textbook, the art of the deal. You
yeah,
know?
I think it's more like when he goes and imposes those tariffs, it's more about a negotiation tactic that is that hey, yeah, we're actually going to uphold
Yeah.
these tariffs, right? It's no, I want you to do something for me, and I need you to bring you to a table right now, and because of that, I'm gonna put 25% tariffs and everything.
Yeah.
If if you don't do what I want, I'm gonna hold him, but we can push them out if
Yeah.
you know.
You know what it feels like? It's like, hey, can you pass me a glass of water? And the guy is like, no, man, get your own. And then he pulls out a gun and he's like, really? You don't want to pass me the glass of water? Where like freaking, you know what? I'm gonna put this gun on the table. And it's like, bro, like what just happened? You know what I mean?
Like,
Like
where's your water?
I just want a glass. He just wants a glass of like I'll give you the water. It's fine. It's like just just ask nicely. But he's like, like he doesn't even ask you for the glass of water. He's like, I'm gonna put a gun on the table, and if you don't do what I'm about to say right now, I'm gonna shoot you. And it's like, what? Like that was the
Yeah.
insanity. Like last week was the deep sea saga. I had to like freaking like touch up
Oh,
on.
that was funny too.
Hmm?
That one was funny too. That's why I opened up those options, those call options,
Yeah.
oh,
And I was
and I was
like, there's no way. I did all my research, I did all my analysis, and I was like, okay, like there's like this is getting way out of proportion. And then on Monday, he like blew up all of my call options that I had, and it was like, okay, fine, let's read again to see what he means. And then he like started backtracking, and I was just like, God damn it! I like
I think for any Trump announcement or anything like that, I think I mean, obviously the financial markets are going to react to it, and I think as we move forward, like their reactions can be less significant, right? But I think most of these things, to understand whether or not they're for real, is wait 48 hours and see what happens.
yeah. Like I find that it's like we're gonna see this volatility, but it's gonna die down because we're gonna expect it. You know what I mean? We're gonna wait for Trump to say like, what did he say today? He was like, oh, we're gonna take over the Gaza Strip and build hotels. It's like, what are we talking about here? Like, you know, like the Greenland stuff, the Panama Canal, all of these different things that you don't know if it's really real, if it's not real, is it a bargaining chip? What does he want to do? It gets to the point. I was talking to a couple of friends, and he was like, I don't think he even knows what he wants. He's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna say things and see what sticks on the wall.
Exactly. Just going for the
Yeah.
extremes and seeing what sticks. Even what they're doing with the whole like Doge things and other executive orders. Like a lot of those things, I think are gonna come back or go to Supreme Court. You know, somebody's gonna like pause that. And a lot of them have been paused already. Um, but yeah, I think that's the strategy. As was it's hey, let's go to the extreme, see what sticks.
And if it will end in the
Uh,
middle, I'm happy because that's where I want it to be anyways. It's like,
shoot for the stars.
yeah,
But I'm happy if I get to the moon. Yeah.
yeah. No, I get you. But yeah, cool. Okay, nice. Oh man. Okay, MicroStrategy. Okay. Stock didn't do much. Like it'll be interesting to see, but it's like it's all based on Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin, I don't know. Like I've been using Bitcoin as a barometer for risk on, risk off sentiment in the market. It's been sort of like just because of the fact that you can trade it 24/7, it's been acting like you know, when Bitcoin is down pre-market just before the market opens, like the rest of the day is gonna go red, right? So it's like it's been acting like this sort of catalyst, I say. You're not catalyst, but I don't know the word.
A proxy.
Hmm?
A proxy. But
Yeah.
I would argue that even Bitcoin is not even that good of a proxy for risk on, risk off anymore. If you really want to look at like within crypto, you should look at I don't know if you can pull it up, but others on TradingView,
All right.
and then others is basically the market cap of all cryptocurrencies with exception of Ethereum and Bitcoin.
Others. What's that? Okay. Top 10 crypto cap.
Yeah, others.
Okay. All right.
I think that's more of a proxy for um, a risk on, risk off.
All right. Let me change because I have this was open. Okay.
Yeah, and then for me, I look. I mean, my moving averages that I use are the 200, the 50, and then the 10 for short term. Um, right now, others is literally right on the 200 day moving average. Um, so that's in our indication that we should see a significant bounce soon.
100 and 200, you said.
Yeah.
And then I have to pay for a subscription to get the third one. Low. Okay.
No, but if you do 200 only,
So this would be what? Altcoin season or altcoin market.
exactly.
Okay. Okay.
So even you see that even it does act as resistance previously, right? We had that huge run up in March. It bounced off. Look at right before that at the very beginning of 2024, right? It just bounced off of it, and then we had boom that mini alt season March of last year, and
Okay.
then uh, and then obviously came crashing down, acted uh, as resistance a little bit, and then once it broke above it, then we had another run up in December, just now, and now we're basically retesting it again.
The 200. Okay. Okay. Nice. I had no idea. I had no idea this was the thing. Good to know. Good to know. Nice. Okay. Joder, tío. Nice. You gotta keep tabs on this. Okay. Yo, by the way, this are we still on for this weekend on that episode?
Yeah, we can
Like
do
we'll
it.
do it like a short, more snappy. Like if you have any idea of the way that you want to like then touch some points, I'll send you something. and then feel
I
free
think
to add anything.
we can cover what plays I'm looking at, maybe
Yes.
what I used to look at the overall crypto market. What's undervalued. I will be talking a lot about ETH. I think that's like a no-brainer play right now at this price.
Okay.
And I think we have basically 2-3 weeks left to get into that trade.
2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, because I have a friend that she's heavy on crypto, Mimi, and she says by the end of February, we boom.
Yeah, that ETH call options expiring in March, then that may not be a bad trade.
I have it, yeah, March 21st, but they're sitting at $12. You know what I mean? And ETH right now is sitting at what? Like I might just like re-up, potentially like finish, because that's only like the size of it right now is only a quarter of what I usually trade on options. Like a position
Yeah.
for options for me, and right now it's like I'm zero. Like I went to zero on those, but I entered way too early on those too. I do feel. So if we potentially see like 100x on that, that's a 200%. Like like let's say we get to 5K on ETH.
Yeah. And it was hard to, because I also thought that because we had a drop in early in the year, in January, the first few days of January, I believe
Yeah.
we had a drop, and I thought, okay, this is, we've reset. Now it's up from here. But turns out we needed another 60-day cycle to kind of reset that again.
Okay. So yeah, here January was like here. So yeah, we're sitting at 3,700 and all the way down to 2008. And then here, that was such a good price though. Because god dang it. Like that was the thing. Like Trump is gonna do these things. You just gotta be ready. Like I'm gonna break down an episode and it's like, okay, like what to expect out of Trump every single time he opens his mouth, and what can you do to make money? Options course on how to friggin' what options to buy when when the whole market like dumps, and then you figure out that it's only one sector that should be dumping and not the rest.
Now see how you notice how you have on the screen, you have like that support around 2100. Just hit that 1, 2, and
Yeah,
3 times. Yeah.
right there.
Yeah. The other thing I track with ETH is the ETH Bitcoin valuation.
Yeah, you like to
Um,
mention that one a lot, eh?
yeah, because historically, I mean, I remember when I was trading back, when you had like those Russian exchanges and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, it just made sense to me. Well, back then it wasn't even Ethereum; it was Litecoin,
Damn.
but it had the same thing. It just acted in cycles.
Okay.
These went up, went down, and up, went down.
Nice.
This actually, what you want to do is ETH. It's the other way around. ETH,
Okay.
BTC. I mean, this is the same thing, but inverse.
But it shows. Yeah, I get you. So right now it's sitting at pretty levels. It is. Like historically, like we're talking about 2020 levels based on this. Like the thing is like that's like because it's like that was one way that I had to learn how to look at assets, and it's like things are cheap, and then you gotta like my first question now, it's like based on what? You know what I mean? Like the US dollar, other assets, because like one thing that I was looking at, I was trying to use oil as an indicator to understand, okay, like based on the price of oil, how are assets being priced? And I didn't come up too much with anything, but it kind of like sort of put me in the track of just like looking at different assets to evaluate other things. Like I even right now I keep like my profits, I evaluate them both in dollars, pounds, crypto, like Bitcoin. So I know exactly, okay, how much Bitcoin would have I just had if I just had moved all my money XYZ at Bitcoin at some points. It hurts to watch, but you gotta you gotta have an idea of that.
Yeah, I got another interesting one for you. If you want to look at ETH, / MSTR.
MicroStrategy.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
ETH,
Okay.
ETH / MSTR.
Uh-huh.
And then you're gonna have to zoom out on this one.
He's
Okay, not
giving
that
me.
much, I guess.
He's giving it
So
in.
look
Yeah.
at that. If you were to draw like a range near the top and a range near the bottom, right? This level that we're at has historically functioned as support for ETH MSTR, right? So the other thesis here is that we could be seeing a bottoming of this.
Maybe we could see
Meaning,
Ethereum just pick up.
meaning that Ethereum should outperform MicroStrategy. That's why I say, even though MicroStrategy to me is a buy right now, a bigger buy would be Ethereum.
Okay.
This shows you that.
Interesting.
Like what's if you go to like the, let's say the middle of that range, what's the percentage gain from where we're at now?
Look. No, you mean info. So we're talking about here, 500%. Let's say there.
500%.
Let's say just we gap up to all resistances, and then we say what 500, 400% from now potentially. So potentially we could see Ethereum go. Fuck. So
Seems kind of
Ethereum
crazy.
10K.
That's reasonable for the cycle peak.
Because oh yeah, one last thing that you mentioned. One thing that you mentioned was based on the yield. You said something in the lines of MicroStrategy expects Bitcoin to be 118 by the end of the year.
Yeah, I think they said something around that they expect their dollar gain to be $10 billion for fiscal year 2025. Yeah. So I just did the math on that. Basically, I did, if they have 470,000 Bitcoin times its current price, I forget what that number was. It was
96.
Okay. 471,000 Bitcoins times 97, that's around 45.7 billion. If you take that 45.7 billion and so and get the 10 or get the 10 what 10 billion as a percentage will be of that, it's a 22%, right? So then they're expecting a 22% increase in Bitcoin
From
price.
current prices.
Result in a $10 billion gain, assuming they don't buy any more Bitcoin.
Which they are likely
Right.
to.
Yeah.
But
for
okay.
sure.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think, in my opinion,
Because
by the end of the year, crypto bull cycle will be over.
and then we're going back another crypto winter for a while?
Yeah, it repeats again. Another 2-3 years of pain.
Well, the thing is like, okay, so because the thing is, it's like, who are the big buyers, right? Like, we've gotten to this point with pretty much Michael Saylor buying, El Salvador buying, and a couple of like that was one of the, well, I can't access the strategy website anymore. It seems.
You got
Strategy.
blocked.
Yeah. They didn't like my questions. I know. I'm back in. No. It was the website that you showed me. What was it? The one here.
MSTR.
Yeah. MSCS tracker. It's like, so this is super interesting because it's like it shows like the biggest holders of Bitcoin by company. Tesla number 6, clean, and then one I really like, which is Marathon Digital, sitting at number 2, only with like around 10% of what MicroStrategy holds, but they want to do a very similar strategy where they want to continue to like dilute the players to, because I think they even they're looking at an $800 million round again to dilute in order to buy more Bitcoin. So that's something I'm paying attention to. I want to pay attention to the earnings and all of those things.
I mean, they have a 3 billion based on their plans. They have a 3 million allocation for additional equity selling into
Yeah.
the market.
Yeah, and they want to continue that's the thing, but they're like based on, so that's why I was looking at market cap with Mara when it comes to Mara, because if you have a look at, let me show. So yeah, if you look at Mara's like market cap, like at the peak during November, they were sitting almost at 9 billion, but right now they're sitting at 5.78.
Well,
So
in
I think
November, they're like at $25 per share.
correct. Yeah, but the thing is like they've continued to add more share as the time goes by too. So like this was, I think, the peak in the stock price. What was the peak? Let me have a look. Um, their peak on stock price was. Let me have a look. Go to bigger one. In November, they were sitting at $30. Yeah, but because because they're almost like what 50% down from the peaks, a little bit
Yeah.
under, but their market cap has sort of held a bit more, and it's because of the dilution. But crap, you made ruler. So yeah, we've dropped around 45%, but the market cap has dropped around 30. Well, no, around the same. I might be messing that up, but yeah, I just think, I don't know, like I see, like, and like the price of Bitcoin has not dropped as much. So that's something that I take into consideration too. It's just the price of Bitcoin from the top is what, like 15%, 16%, maybe 20, and it just seems to be overly punished.
Oh yeah. I mean, the
But
way I see it, those companies, the miners, they're essentially like altcoins.
yeah, but they actually have something going for them. You know what I mean? They have like, and one of the benefits of Mara is that they are considering going into compute for data centers. So we could see a migration of this of the Bitcoin mining into something else. Use their expertise for data centers and XYZ, but yeah, it's only a matter to see. But I'm paying attention to this. This one likes to explode drastically, and well, the last earnings were not. I don't think they accounted for the rally. Like the rally in Bitcoin, there's anything. So I'm hoping that this one maybe it's accounted for, but I have a feeling it's gonna explode. Like people are not like I just don't. It's like you were talking about the cyclicality and the sentiment. This one, I have a feeling that it's coming to that as well. The sentiment for miners right now is through the floor.
Yep.
But yeah. All right. Yo, very nice chat, dude. Thanks so much, Adrian.
Absolutely. It's
Thanks.
great.
Yeah, it was good. It was very, very good. Like we'll do I'll send you an outline and for the weekend, and we'll do an episode on the weekend to post on this, because yeah, I think I've been live for 3 hours already.
Yeah.
Not bad. It's not bad. Slowly getting
Sounds
there.
good.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Okay. Oh yeah, and some Michael Anthony. Do you know that the stock SWKS by any chance?
I don't.
Yeah, me neither. That's the thing.
That's,
That's the problem with it. This guy was asking, but like most of the stocks that had earnings, to, or at least the ones that we were paying attention to, let's just do like a little summary breakdown. Qualcomm was down initially, euphoric after earnings, after they beat expectations, but it seems that they have come down around 10%, similar to ARM. coming in from the close. It rallied into the close, but it's down 6% from the highs. And yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see that not every chip maker is made equal, you know? I'm paying attention to Nvidia. Nvidia seemed to like the news of AMD yesterday, which was hilarious. SWKS. But yeah, I think Mike and also Google had earnings and it got punished as well, and capital expenditures are expected to be 75 billion this year. So the fears that Nvidia or the big chip makers are going to stop selling data center chips, I don't think that's real. Yeah, I don't think Nvidia stops selling chips in the near future. And the DeepSeek, I think it was. I agree with Adrienne in this case, where I do believe it was an overreaction from the markets. Everybody doesn't really understand the chip makers or the sector, so they made assumptions too quickly, and the market got punished for it, which gave me an opportunity to buy some more NVDL calls. So I'm happy. Yeah, right now I'm sitting on a couple of a couple of NVDL contracts. I'm also thank you, Adrian, by the way. Much appreciate you, man. Um but yes. NVDL calls that allowed me to buy some, like enter that position. And right now I'm sitting in the SMCI calls, which are paying handsomely right now. So make sure you pay attention to that. That's going to be on the 11th of February. So make sure to stay tuned. And I think tomorrow Amazon has earnings, and I want to hear CapEx, but I don't know if I should stream it. I don't know if I should stream it. I could, but I would be down to do it quickly, you know? I think it's just like, I don't know what time. Thank you, guys. Thank you, thank you. No worries. Don't forget to hit subscribe, like, and all of the beautiful things that you know to do. Bam, bam. Freaking money. I just have a button where I can press it all the time. It's great. Oh man. What today? What today? What today? Like I wish I could do a summary on MicroStrategy, but I just don't understand the stock enough. I have to like actually spend some time reading and analyzing what they said. And gotta read their 10K to kind of get an idea of what they truly do. Because I learned a bunch of things today. I don't know about you guys, but I learned a bunch of things today. And I have to like get accustomed to them. But yeah. Yeah, SWKS, man, I have no idea. Like I wish I knew. Oh look, maybe I can see something, but let me look at my sources and see if I can find anything for you, my friend. But SWKS. Skywork Solutions. So this was today. No, Q2. We were expecting Q2, and they did good. So this is it. I've just no idea. Like I want to tell you, but so they're expecting earnings per share to drop. You know, right now, if you're not beating earnings, you're getting punished. And if you believe in the stock long term, like, and you understand why you invested in the stock, I don't see why you shouldn't be buying more if it's such a massive drop like that. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't do anything I do because I am just a guy that invests in stocks. And you have no idea who I am. You know? Oh, man. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. 320. Come on. 320. Bam. It's 320. It's the last four. Let's go at 321. It's fine because it doesn't pick out my subscribers. I should have one. I get one more. I get one more. Make it rain. All right. Sigas. Yes, because YouTube doesn't like tell you. Like if you don't have like your subscriber public, it doesn't tell you who has subscribed to your channel. So I only have like 2 people that have subscribed, but I have 321. So that's sick. Thank you so much for you guys for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'm more than happy to answer. I'll get Adrian to answer, and I'm gonna put. Well, I have to ask him. I don't know if he wants me to put the Telegram on, but make sure to stay tuned for the episode that I have with him. Yeah, I think he said. So if you go to like the Bitcoin episode that I have on my channel, you'll be able to see. So, you know, he talks a ton of crypto, and like he knows more than me about it for sure. You know, I like my stocks. You know, I have a Bitcoin position, Ethereum, XRP. I have the nice ones. You know what I mean? I have the ones that are solid, and then they're not gonna disappear. I do have some fart coin. Actually, I do have some fart coin. Oh, my fart coin position is down. Let's evaluate my fart coin position. Okay, let me log in into my Phantom wallet. No, I don't remember my password. Nice. Not now. There we go. Fart coin. Everybody farts. I have 9 fart coins and I'm down $1.16, which sucks. Yo, what happened to my risky? Why is risky down? Yeah, dude. This is my freaking my $5 fart coin investment. It was $30. I put $30 in here. Freaking how is risky doing? Let's see. Coin market cap. Ah. Ah. Coin market cap. I bought some risky because crypto is risky, guys. Somebody dumped on me? Really? Really? Who dumped? Ah. That's my vote. That's my vote. All right, guys. It's late. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I appreciate you all very much. You guys are a ray of sunshines and never change. Dragas MVP. Peace out, guys. Time to go to bed. Hopefully, we continue to make money tomorrow. Actually, yeah, you're crazy, bro. Actually, tomorrow we have non-farm payrolls and unemployment data. We should have an unemployment rate. Yeah, tomorrow we have an employment rate. I'm live at 1:30 tomorrow for like 20, 30 minutes. But I'm live tomorrow for unemployment. Yeah. Mm. Mm. You gotta pay attention. You gotta pay attention to them. You gotta. 70% of the time they don't matter. The last the last 2 years have been the other 30%. The problem is if they start going crazy, they could crash the whole economy. So you gotta be paying it. I gotta take a picture. 3, 2, 1. Let's go, boy. Let's go. Scotch and stock. 3, 2, 1. Bam. I'm so happy with that. It's freak yeah, dude. Yeah, dude, for sure. That's sick. You know. Like I'm not a sentimental guy, but shit, dude, let's go. I watch myself. Yes, I watch myself because I also need to chat there because I can't chat on the other thing. Yeah, I watch myself. I don't care. I don't care. You know what? I don't care. I need all the help I can get. Oh man, but thanks so much for watching, guys. Peace, 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 peace. Yeah. All right, bye. And then bam. And then bam. I'm sending this to like everybody. My grandma getting a picture in heaven because she passed away. My sister getting a picture. All right. Good night. Good night. Good night. Dragos. Nice. See you soon, bro. Or bro dead. I don't judge. Peace, peace, guys.